What's up, guys, and welcome to the Shifty Crab Game Awards, or as we like to call them, the Shifties. Tonight, we're going to look back at a year in gaming that has seen us race across Mexico, leap into Valhalla, and tattoo a barcode onto the back of our head. We have relived the same day again and again, and occasionally we have swung from a web into different rifts. We have fought zombies and aliens and each other, and came out on top. We have marveled at the work rate of Insomniac and the power of the indie, and welcomed home the chief. And we have embraced the new world of delays. We fell in love with new games and rekindled gaming memories from the past. And most important of all, we played, we completed, and we enjoyed it. So tonight, we will honor the standout moments of us for gaming and look forward to what comes next. So welcome to the first annual Shifties. I am joined tonight by the best beard in the business, Mr. Keanu Reeves himself, Mr. Vince Haley. Vince, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah. I'm thinking I'm back.
You're back for the first time.
I'm back for the first time.
How are you doing?
Working
right?
camera this time.
Oh, yeah, working camera. Because that didn't go wrong off camera at all.
No.
Definitely.
We didn't start this 20 minutes later because of camera technical issues.
I'm sure we'll have more as the night goes on. Also joining us
So
tonight, he is Obi-Wan Kenobi himself, the suited and... No, not suited and booted. It is Mr. Terry Jeffs. Terry, thank you for joining us tonight.
Can I just say that was like a really cool and professional intro to this award series, and now I'm actually feeling really bad that I haven't suited up for it, because that was pretty good. That's pretty good. And come on, you may have won an Oscar, you may have won a BAFTA, but if you haven't won a Shifty, have you really won anything? I mean, come on, it just sounds good. It's Shifty.
A Shifty, yeah.
At first, when I was first thinking, I did call them the Crabbies, and I thought that's not going to go down well. So
no, probably not.
I changed it to Shifties.
Yeah.
Crabbies.
So the Shifties. So
do we have actual awards to send out to these developers, or no?
I will.
Oh, can you imagine like the golden
crab.
Shifty? Like,
yeah, the golden
50%,
Shifty.
Listen, I put enough money into this. If someone else wants to buy them, I will gladly find the address. We maybe will reach out to them on Twitter.
If it was down to Adam, it would just be so corrupt that, like, you just see interviews with like Rockstar North, and their whole cabinet would just be all golden Shifties,
They won everything.
Yeah.
Maybe they win something tonight. Maybe they don't. We shall
Definitely not the technical achievement award.
Definitely not. No, for that fucking
we are not starting our awards on. Is this the monologue bit at the beginning where we just shit on the things that happen?
Best D-Master.
Yeah.
And the one thing I will say about our awards, and this is no slight on the Game Awards, obviously Jeff Keighley knocking it out of the park, great,
absolutely.
But we haven't put Cyberpunk up for an award because we're not fucking idiots.
No,
Cyberpunk can stay exactly where it is in that.
That could have gone up for best surprise.
No,
well, it could have been a best surprise.
It was definitely a surprise.
It surprised all of us, I think. Yeah,
it did surprise all of us.
It surprised the developers.
Yeah.
Shall we start with an award?
Let's do it.
I think we should. I think we're going to go with technical achievement. This is the way this was worked. It was to celebrate a technical achievement in gaming, whether it was the amount of stuff they put in the game, how well the game ran, or something about the game that was innovative that really pushed forward gaming in general. I'll read out all the nominations, then we can discuss our nominations one by one, and then we'll go from there. So in no particular order, we have, for technical achievement, Microsoft Flight Simulator, the Xbox port. We have Ratchet and Clank, A Rift Apart, and we have Demon's Souls. So we'll go to Terry. You put Demon's Souls as your nomination. What made you pick this?
Well, first of all, I wanted to kind of put a bit of small print forward before we talk about any of these nominations, because as you guys know, we've been podcasting pretty much all this year. I haven't played many titles from this year that are released because I've been mainly playing through my backlog of games for the last few years. So what I have played that was released within the last 12 months is very limited. So I can only comment on what I have played. But saying that, even if I think I'd played most of the games that were released in the last 12 months, I still think that Demon's Souls would be hard to top, purely just because of what Bluepoint did with that game. I do think that they literally are unrivaled with not only remastering games and taking the bones of the actual game and making it feel the same and actually, but then putting it alongside anything else that's been released. But even surpassing that and making something that looks arguably more beautiful than anything that's been released this gen so far. I mean, I know Vince has played a lot more of the game than I have. I mean, you can vouch for me, Vince, that game is stunning to look at, like lighting, textures, like the shadows. It's just the sound, just everything about it just screams next gen. I mean, that was the first game I played on my PS5 and it just blew me away. And I just think that game is, I think, really, I don't know, like maybe I feel like it is a bit underrated, and maybe it's because the PS5 isn't in as many hands as it should be. Maybe because Demon's Souls is a bit more of a niche game compared to some of the other games that have been released. But I feel like not enough people have been talking about that game as they should have, because it is such a technical achievement. So yeah, I had to get it on there.
No, I think it's a really strong choice, Vince. I know you can probably back this up a little bit because you've played the game. Obviously, I think you've completed the game, have you not?
No, I have not.
No, you're working through it though currently.
I am.
Okay, like Vince, what do you think about this?
I mean, it's a very good remake from Blue Point, which no surprise there. They do fantastic work, specifically with remakes. And I think being a PS5 launch game, Demon's Souls is a very good shout because it does look incredible. It does look next gen. But that's kind of my only problem with it. It's a remake. It's not, I mean, it's the same game, just remade. Granted, we'll probably get into that a little later with my game of the year choice. However, it's gorgeous. Like, it plays well. It plays like a Souls game, even being from, Blue Point that doesn't typically make Souls games. Granted, again, it's a remaster, but very beautiful game to look at. Very good to look at for sure. Because they kind of nailed the, coming from a PS3 game, a PS3 launch title for Demon's Souls, and making it look the way it does is definitely an achievement for sure. Because they add so much, detail, art. Like, come on. The magic in the game just looks so good, and it sounds so good when
particle effects,
everything, it's the little things as well, like just like wading through the water and just the light. I think more particularly than anything, the lighting in that game is just unbelievable.
Very good. Except in the Tower of Latria when it's just constantly dark and you are struggling to see anything.
Okay, no game's perfect. No game's perfect.
No, but let's be honest, it does add that atmosphere of terror, and that's something that they nailed for sure.
And having played the original as well on the PS3, like visually seeing that jump and what they did, and I mean, as Vince was saying, like you could argue that it kind of might feel dated, but I feel like that what Blue Point does is like they make sure that it plays exactly as that game played on the PS3, but it's just. No, they make some minor tweaks, but they kind of bring it up to date visually, and I just think that is such an achievement to be able to do that. And I don't know if you guys have watched you should definitely watch this, Vince. Maybe finish it first, but the No Clip documentary on the Demon's Souls remake is fantastic because it actually shows you the process of how they did it, how they had to actually dive into all that the original stuff, the code. And like and rework it and stuff. So clever. But I love it. It's great stuff. And also it made me think, like, as impressive and cool as Elden Ring looks, it does make you think, but just imagine if it could have looked like that. You know what I mean though? Like, you imagine if it was next gen. Like, and it still, don't get me wrong, it looks amazing, but like imagine if it had that kind of Blue Point sheen to it. Wow.
Oh yeah.
I would say, obviously, I haven't played the game, but I have seen the game. And I've seen, obviously, the comparisons between the original and this. So obviously, that's a huge leap. I think what makes this game stand out is that this is a launch title game that will probably still, at the end of the cycle, be considered one of the better looking games of the console generation. And to come out swinging like that at first is a testament to Blue Point, how they know what they're doing with this sort of thing, obviously. And I know we're going to talk about them later on. For me, obviously, the game isn't my cup of tea, but from a technical achievement, this is a great nomination for that.
For sure.
Vince, you've picked Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart. Do you want to talk about why you've chose that? What was your thinking behind it?
My thinking behind it was, I wanted to give Ratchet and Clank something. Like, we'll get into honorable mentions later for sure. Ratchet and Clank is just one of those games, again, not necessarily a launch title, but close enough to like the launch window, still kind of released this year. That really just makes the PS5 shine and why you need a PS5. The Rift element within the game is, again, maybe a little disappointing that it's not like you can rift everywhere, but the way it's utilized and the fact that you can lasso a rift and it comes towards you and suddenly you're in a different spot completely is very much a next gen feel of how, like, again, we're going to see this constantly, maybe constantly throughout this generation, the lack of loading screens, the fact that you can jump from, essentially one planet to the next seamlessly, you're jumping through the rifts seamlessly, and the game just looks gorgeous. Like, I didn't have ray tracing on to begin with. I played the entire game without ray tracing. And then when I started it back up to finish out the last trophy that I needed, I had turned ray tracing on, and it just blew my mind. Like, the game just looked
like
that
seeing
much
the Matrix.
better. Yeah, and I feel like I've missed out. Like,
why didn't you have it on from the beginning, Vince?
Well, you see, it was an option at the very beginning of the game, and for some reason, it's not the default.
Did it slow the frame rate down a bit? But
does it affect performance?
No, it didn't affect performance at all. Like, it was ray tracing at
a weird choice to make.
Either like the 30 at 60 frames per second. Like, after that, having that on, I almost wanted to play through the entire game again because it looked fantastic.
This is a thing that's been introduced, and I know we spoke about this when we first picked up the new consoles, but like every game now, like I buy, I have to kind of like look into it and go, right, what mode should I play this on? Is there much of a difference? Like, because like going back to Demon Souls, like there's the cinema. What are you playing that in at the moment? It's a cinematic, and then there's performance, isn't there?
Yeah, I think I'm doing.
I think I went performance because although cinematic looks stunning and it's like it's slightly higher resolution. Once you go on that performance and you've got that, like, it's so smooth when you're rotating the camera. Then when you go back to the cinematic, you notice that it's not, and then that's it. But some games, you're saying, like some, there's no. People say, oh, there's like no difference. Like if you go from this one to that one, so just go over this. So yeah, it's weird.
For sure, Ratchet and Clank absolutely shines in that regard. And it's Insomniac, so the game obviously plays well. They know their movement, they know combat, they know everything. And the fact that this game is their next move after Spider-Man really helped. Because it's just, it looks good, it plays good. Just the fact that it was, again, after Miles Morales, their kind of flagship PS5 title, and to bring that, series back after like the 2016, so it's been like what, 4 years, 5 years,
5,
and to have it look as good as it does. The camera's going. Camera, don't do it.
Camera's done it.
Camera's done it. Anyway, I'll wrap up why I think technically Ratchet and Clank is fantastic is because it has that feeling of Zoom's not responding. Anyway, it has that feeling of being next gen.
You're back. You're back.
God,
he's back.
Very zoomed in.
Very zoomed in.
That's how it goes.
That's how it goes. Whatever. I'll back up. Anyway, Ratchet and Clank, technically, great to look at. Very gorgeous game. The lack of loading screens is very welcome and very present with the Rift gameplay aesthetic. And just Insomniac knows how to make games. So for this to come out and be as, polished as it is, and to even be up for the Game Awards Game of the Year, very well deserved.
No, absolutely.
And a technical achievement. Yeah.
I think it is. I think it really showed what the PlayStation 5 could do, especially with like you said, the fluidity of it and the seamlessness of it. It was kind of like, yeah, this is next gen gaming.
It is.
Jay, do you have any thoughts on this? Did you play this or not?
No, I was just going to say, so I'm itching to play this game. I can't wait to play it. As you guys know,
I'm
a big Ratchet and Clank guy. I've still got a Platinum 2016 though, so I'm not allowing myself to
Don't
get
worry about
done
it.
that.
Don't
I need to
worry
do it.
about
I need to do it. But
don't have to.
I think that if I had already played this game, this probably would have been my vote too. Because I mean, it just, even before it released, like, you know, we're saying that this is the game that's really making the most use of that next gen technical ability to be able to load up new game modes just instantly, the way that you go between the rifts. And I've heard people say about, oh, you can't switch to the rifts at any time. Yeah. And to be honest, I wouldn't have expected that you could. I knew it was going to be moments in the game, but even that alone is like so impressive. But Insomniac have always, I think, like, and again, we have spoken about this before recently, I feel like Insomniac are finally getting their like due, for which I feel like they should have been getting for a long, long time. Like, even when the original Ratchet and Clank games were released on the PS2, I think they were some of the best looking games. And I particularly remember getting Tools of Destruction on the PS3 and thinking like, wow, this is like a quantum leap above everything. You know, that was like next gen for me. That was like what it was. That showed off what the PS3 could do. I like the Xbox 360 couldn't. They somehow Insomniac need to know how to unlock that power inside those consoles. Yeah. And so I completely understand why you would vote this, and I probably would have done the same if I'd played it.
Because honestly, here's the thing: there's two games that came out this year that kind of had that same aspect, right? You had Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which had that kind of seamless transition, but only at moments. And then you had the Medium, which kind of did something similar-ish.
Yeah.
But Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart does it so much better and actually showcases, you know, more of that technical aspect of it, right? Because it's not just, you know, the area is the same but looks different. You're actually in another place when you go through a rift. It's so cool. That feeling of just whipping the rift, having it, and just being in a different spot. It's so good. It's such a good feeling. You need to play the game, Terry. Play the game.
I know. I'm going to play
2016.
Just think, though, like what they've done with this, and then think about what they'll be doing in the next Spider-Man game. How that will look, and how quick that will be.
Can't wait.
Anyway, the third nomination for this award was picked by myself, which was Microsoft Flight Simulator, the Xbox port. I believe I'm the only one to have played this.
Yes.
Because I don't think this really appeals to either of you two anyway.
No, I mean, this really, I can't wait to play this. I mean, this is one of my most wanted to play games on the Xbox.
And it's available on Game Pass. So it's
it is.
But
incredible.
I don't think much needs to be said about this one, apart from when you actually say it out loud, it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That I can take off from anywhere in the world and fly in real time to anywhere else in the world, and the whole world is there. And that the fact that I can do that with live weather, live traffic, and it also points out points of interest, commanding the plane, and graphically it is fantastic. It looks stunning. I fly over my house in the game and I can see the road leading to my house. I can see the supermarket, like the building of the supermarket. And I don't live in a big popular place. It's not like London. You drive over London, I can see my office. I can see all the bits and bobs. In America, when you take off from like JFK, it's exactly what you'd see. It is a phenomenal achievement. And you could understand it to an extent on PC. But to be able to do that on a console, when you look back to even one generation, I don't know what the biggest map was on a gaming console on the last generation, but this is the world in real time. It's ridiculous. Like, don't get me wrong, the game is long. As in, if I want to fly to France, that is 2 hours of me flying to France. Like, I'm not saying it's the best game of the year, but for a technical achievement for me, I think it's just when you say it out loud is utterly ridiculous. And once you're in the game and you're flying, no loading screens. You want to change direction? Go for it. The game will just load, and it's just there. Rain, wind, turbulence, all there. Like, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And the multiplayer as well, which I don't touch, so I can't really talk about that. But to be able to do that in a server and fly anywhere, and there's other people flying around, is phenomenal. But I just want to pitch in on that.
I obviously I feel like I can only vote on games I've actually played. But if I was to stand back and just look at what was released this year, then it's hard to really look at anything that's more impressive than what Flight Simulator's done. I mean, I've read like some in-depth articles with the developers of, like, and how they did it and how they got their brains together to like work out how to get that tech, and it's just insane. Like, it's just what they did with that was just, and you would hope that this would now start at least start some influence other developers doing something with games. I don't know how they would go about it, but it's just incredible, like how they've actually managed to do that. Like you say, when you say it out loud, it's just mind-boggling. They actually recreated the whole Earth in real time, like real-time weather and just everything, and it's being streamed. That's the crazy shit. It's being streamed. It's not even being loaded from a hard drive or a disk. It's just been. It's crazy. It's crazy, and it's just like surely got to be the game that's taken advantage of like this cloud based technology the most than anything. So it's impressive stuff. It's impressive stuff.
It is.
That's Vince's comment. It is.
It is. I mean, like
no, it's fine.
Hey,
now we have the hard choice.
Right?
We have 3 different options, and we need to pick one.
Yeah.
So, do we have anybody that is wanting to vote for any of the others, or is everyone just voting for their own?
I'm going to concede here. And do you know what? After Vince said it, I thought I'm going to go Ratchet and Clank because I know if I had played it, that's what I'm going to go with. But Adam's reminded me just how impressive that game is. And although I haven't played it, I really want to get my hands on this game. And I do think that what they've done, like, don't get me wrong, like, I think when it comes to like Demon's Souls, that's more like, kind of a visual technical thing for me. And with Ratchet and Clank, it's more of that, making use of that. It is visual as well, but it's making use of that loading. But I think with Flight Simulator, it's doing something completely different than nothing's been done before in terms of the cloud. And I think for what they've done, you kind of got to give it to that. So I'm going to go with Flight Simulator.
Okay, so Vince, are you staying with Ratchet and Clank?
I think, moreover, technically, I mean, this is the
Technical Achievement
Award. It would have to be Microsoft Flight Simulator because, specifically the Xbox port, because we've had flight simulators for years on PC. They've looked and somewhat similarly played to how it plays, but the fact that you're moving that now to a console and it runs as good as it does, it looks as good as it does. It's doing all the weather simulations, traffic, all that, and the generated world map. That's just literally the world map being ported to your console.
That's crazy.
It's something like.
We're not saying this is game of the year, We're not saying that out of these 3, Flight Simulator is probably the worst game, but by far, but technically
yes,
I think
it's fantastic.
Okay, so we have our first award of the night. It is Microsoft Flight Simulator. The Xbox port has won our technical.
Are they here? Are they here tonight to join us?
They are not here to accept the award.
Okay.
But
Unfortunately,
we will
That
pass
is
it on.
unfortunate. Yeah.
And
Phil Spencer had better things to do.
We'll
Yeah,
probably
and-
cut this now to the acceptance
Yeah,
speech.
just here.
Yep.
Mm.
Okay.
and then we're
Yeah.
back. And wow,
Hmm.
that's
Wow.
amazing. And thank you for watching our Emily's Away playthrough as well. I'm glad that was an inspiration for your next
They're
game.
big
Yeah.
fans.
Like,
Can you believe he had it on while playing Flight Simulator?
I know, like,
wow,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah.
can't wait for Shifterton to be a playable character. They don't even
Mhm.
have playable characters.
They
It blows
don't.
my mind.
Apparently, they were watching the Emily's Away video where they were like setting the levels of that building. That
That was
you know
it,
the
yeah.
one, and that's why it got a bit
Oh, yeah.
messed up. Yeah,
Got a little bit skew with because
Weird.
they were just holding that button down. Like, that was
yeah, they're
it.
just like staring at the screen, like, oh my god. Is it-
So
You think that's what they were doing while they were making the GTA 3 remasters?
Yeah,
The
maybe.
trilogy remasters?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why they came out so bad. They were too distracted by Emily's
Nah,
Away
you see,
3
because our
playthrough.
Shifty, our Emily's Away playthrough was a car crash, and you can't crash cars properly in the GTA 3 remake.
That's
so they
fair,
weren't
yeah.
listening. They weren't listening too
Listen,
much.
they weren't inspired by it. They were
No.
distracted
Yeah.
by it.
Yeah.
Maybe distracted by it. So
Yeah.
before we move on to the next award, what we're going to do in between these is kind of have a look forward and a look back as well on some of the other bits that we're not covering in the awards. The first one I wanted to talk about, really, I have a few of them here, is what's been, and I don't want to be too negative, this is the only negative thing I think, what has been your biggest disappointment in gaming over the last year? And we're not talking about the big stories, as in obviously the stuff with Blizzard, not about the studios, about games themselves. What's been, and I know I've sprung this on you. These aren't questions that I've put to you in advance to let you think about them. I want your gut reactions to this.
Right.
What have been your Vince? I'm going to come to you first for
Yeah.
this one.
Okay. Yeah.
What's been one of your biggest disappointments in gaming this year?
The biggest disappointments. Man, that's really hard. Because I haven't watched the new Halo launch trailer yet, and I'm getting some pretty good vibes from that. I've just seen like a little bit. But the fact that they kind of refused to talk about campaign at all, it was just multiplayer. Mm-hmm. But obviously we'll talk about Halo a little bit later and my thoughts on how that's come along. But rather, I don't know. I've really I was, annoyed by it. I was upset by it, but I've kind of come around to where I'm a little bit excited that I'll get to play this in like next week. I'll get my hands on Halo Infinite. It's very quick. But you can play the multiplayer right now. But, when I look back on the year and think disappointments, there was nothing really I was super disappointed by. I mean, I guess the fact that we didn't get another Deathloop trailer at the last PlayStation showcase, that was a bit of a disappointment. But yeah, the game actually came out, so that's good.
Yeah.
I wish we probably could have gotten more from the Xbox E3 conference. I wish we could have gotten more out of E3 in general, because it really felt like a very slow E3. Granted, pandemic and all that's kind of pushed a lot of plans back. It's kind of to be expected, but I didn't expect Ubisoft to drop the ball that hard. And they still did.
No, yeah.
And you guys like Avatar?
Oh, God. I'll go next to give you some time to think, Terry. For me, if I was going to hone in on like one experience, would be 12 minutes.
Ooh.
Really just didn't sit well with me, that game, and I wanted it to, and it wasn't jumping on the bandwagon. And I'm usually, if someone says that a game's not great, I'll give it a good go. I don't really care what people think too much. I'll give it my own opinion.
Yeah.
But a lot of what people were saying was very true about that game. It was just a really convoluted game and it came out at a time though, obviously, where these loops were, Deathloop was, I think, at a similar time. So it was, and in my opinion, did it well. And this the voice acting is good. Like the voice acting is good, and then but the gameplay was really, really convoluted. So that was a bit of a disappointment. The delays in that aren't really a disappointment. I think at the very beginning of the year, it was disappointing, but as the year's gone on, it's just like, well, this is just the way it's going to be now for the next 3-4 years as games get back on track, if they do. But yeah, I think apart from that, the games that were going to disappointed me, and the games that I was looking forward to were good. So yeah.
There you go.
What about you, Terry? Anything that's disappointed you this year?
Not playing, but just, I mean, I know it's a cliche, but I mean, what happened with Cyberpunk was just, that was such a disappointment for me, because I really was so unbelievably hyped for that game, to the point where like that's what I wanted my PS5 for. That's what I was getting. That my whole, what I'd planned out, because they were coming out the same day, was like, I'm going to get my PS5, I'm getting Cyberpunk, and I'm going to sit down, I'm going to enjoy that in the best way it can possibly be played. I'm trying to think how it played out now. Like, why I didn't get it. I didn't pre-order it. I guess I was just going to buy it on the day or whatever it was, and then obviously like the reviews come out and stuff like that, and then everything that happened after that, it just, like, as we always kept reporting on in newsbreakers, I was just thinking like, oh my god, I just wish all this hadn't happened. Like, it could have been so different. And I'm still hoping that it's going to get to the point where it will be fixed, and it may not be a perfect game, but I know that there's a good game there, like, because the PC game that was reviewed, got very good scores, and I just ashamed, because I was so hyped, because everything about that is everything I love. We've talked about how much we love like Blade Runner and stuff like that. I just love that kind of genre. It was just the build up to it was just looking like my perfect game. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, and then it just went all a bit wrong. So that for me definitely was my biggest disappointment of the year, because just because of my hype level, and then of what happened. But I'm not like it's not the kind of thing I was like raging about. It's just like, well, whatever. Like, hopefully I'm gonna just step away from it. I'm not like emotionally attached to this. I'm just gonna let them fix it, and then hopefully down the road it's gonna be in a state where it's gonna be good and I can go to it.
It was like the first month of our content as well, like when we started in January, and it was every week there was another yellow Twitter post, like, and another shit show behind it. I think the most disappointing thing was the follow up to it as well. The game itself was bad enough. That was more of a surprise. Then the disappointment was what came after it. It was,
and we read that, and that's what I was saying when I joked at the beginning about surprise, because who would have thought that from CD Projekt Red? Like, literally, before Cyberpunk, they were like, everyone loved them. They were hot shit. They were hot shit. Like, The Witcher 3 was amazing. They were like so giving, like, with their content, and like and just everything that a developer wanted to be. You would you just never would have predicted like what would have happened. It's a shame. It's a real shame.
But another disappointment I just want to throw out there, like, because we're not talking about them much during the show, if at all. I don't think. No GTA 6 news. Disappointment for me personally. That I thought this would be.
It's a disappointment that you even thought there was going to be something. That's the disappointment.
I disappointed myself.
Yeah,
exactly.
I let
myself believe.
Yeah, I'm not mad. Excited. I'm just disappointed.
No GTA 6 news,
but Elden Ring.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that later when we talk about next year and what we're looking forward to. I'm sure there'll be a big decision there, because one of the categories I was going to do obviously was your most anticipated game for next year, but I don't think there can be a winner of that because we all have different anticipations. So I thought that was we just discuss that. But yeah, so
who would put that as a category in a major award show?
I know, it's ridiculous.
That's just silly.
It is just ridiculous. And it means absolutely jack shit.
You're right.
But let's move on to another award. Let's get another one out of the way. I think we're going to go with Surprise of the Year.
Ooh.
Surprise of the Year. Once again, we have 3 nominations, as with all of them. And they are Deathloop, Halo Infinite Multiplayer, and Bugsnax. So 3 very different games, all deserving of being on this list for different reasons. We're going to go to Vince first for this one. You picked Halo Infinite Multiplayer.
Absolutely. Because
good surprise, bad surprise, where are we at?
It was a good surprise. Like, dropping it on the 20th anniversary of Xbox was a very good move, because having your 20th anniversary and not having anything Halo there would have really dropped the ball for sure. And the fact that they were just like, hey, here's the multiplayer. I mean, granted, they put it under the guise of a beta and they're still kind of working on progression and getting that kind of ironed out before, I guess, the official release of Halo Infinite. But to expound upon the surprise part is basically coming out of everything I've seen on Halo Infinite and seeing the multiplayer previews and stuff like that, taking part in the Infinite Flight and playing it a couple times, and just being like, yeah, it's Halo, but now getting here and thinking about it, that's the best part, is that it plays and feels and looks like Halo, coming off of Halo 5 and 343's attempt at bringing Halo back into the mainstream with 4 and 5, and seeing how they kind of drop the ball is probably not the best term for it, but they had some hiccups along the way. And sitting down and playing Halo Infinite's multiplayer has really felt like I've just been transported back in time, and I'm sitting in my room or the living room or whatever and playing through or playing multiplayer, playing like Halo 2 or Halo 3's multiplayer, and just having that fun that it was, and seeing that kind of spirit recaptured in a new next gen game. My camera's doing it again. Okay,
no,
we're good.
No, you're working
we're good.
Fine.
No freaking out. Like
just hearing that announcer again, like Slayer.
Oh yeah. Like hearing the announcer, playing the different game modes, getting back into Slayer, like it all feels like Halo on next gen, and it's such a good feeling, especially when you've missed it for so long, like since the end of like Halo 3 and getting Reach, ODST, then 4 and 5, and having it kind of feel like Halo, kind of not in that respect. And now we're here, and it just feels like you're home again. It's that feeling of this is familiar, but not in a bad way. It gives you that nostalgia kick while also being something new. And I'm so pleasantly surprised by that, because myself and probably a lot of people thought that 343 has killed Halo. Halo's not as good as it was, but now we're here and everyone loves it, myself included. Like, yeah. There's times when I just sit down on the couch and I'm like, I can play some Halo Infinite multiplayer right now. And it's the best feeling. It's the best feeling to be that excited for it again.
I think it's such a weird time to be alive that Halo Infinite multiplayer being good is a surprise. That shows how far Halo had dropped in the opinion, that when they actually do what they're supposed to do, it's like, well, this is a surprise. This is good. But do you know what? I think it is such an important thing for Halo to be good. Now, you know, it's up there, isn't it, with the Marios and the Zeldas and the Kratoses, the Kratai, I don't know. The Kratos is these iconic characters from the consoles, and no one liked seeing Master Chief being dragged through the mud like he was, really. So it's great that it's back and people are having so much fun with it. Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
I've got some stuff to say on this, because I'm at breaking point with the FOMO right now on this game, because if I had the money, the expendable money to lay down for a Series X right now, I'd do it, because this game just looks. I just want it. I just want to play it, and I just seeing people playing it. It's just making me feel so jealous, because it's just I've tried to get into other shooters. Nothing really takes me. I've never been interested in any of the battle royales, Call of Duties. I've had, dipped in and out of Battlefields. I enjoyed Overwatch, very different game. That's because I very much like Team Fortress 2 back in the day, and it is very much like a Team Fortress 2 game. But nothing gets me like Halo multiplayer. Like there's just something about that. There's just something about it, and obviously, if you know, you know what I mean. It's just like how it feels, how it sounds like when you do a melee attack, like how the trajectory of the grenades work, just the feeling of it. It's just something about it. And from everything I've been seeing, like everyone that's been playing it, like saying the same thing, that they've just got it. They just nailed it. It feels like it did, like back in the good old days of playing like Halo 3 or whatever it was, but yet it still feels modern. And I just hope that this, because it's got all the recipes for success. It's like free to play. It's pretty, so like, what's the difference between this? People, there's no entry point other than being on like one like platform, like
right.
Is no different entry point to like playing Fortnite or what's the other one?
Apex.
Warzone.
Apex. Or Warzone. Like, so I really just want this to succeed. I want it to get big. And what I'm talking about is obviously like the younger players, like, because we know obviously like the people that grew up with Halo are going to go on to it and they're going to love it. But is the younger players going to get attacked? That's what I'm hoping.
Right.
That's what
Anything
I'm hoping.
to kill Fortnite, please.
It's not even necessarily just to kill it. It's just like to make this like, this is how like shooters can be. Like, this is like really fun. Like, and it's just pure. Like, I just want it to do well. And then that way I want it to just be, this is the game. I don't want like this and then like another Halo sequel and then this multiplayer dies. And then like, I want it to be, this is it. And we just keep this going, keep supporting it, keep with maps.
Build upon it,
Build upon it, yeah. I love it when games do that. And that's what I loved about Overwatch. I know they're doing a sequel to that, but they kind of fuse it into one. But I don't like keep getting sequels and then the old one, everyone moves on and then the old one does.
Seasons work, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. So I really want this game to do well. Yeah, and I want it to be there waiting for me when I finally get on it, whether that'll be on PC or whether that'll be on Xbox or whatever. I can't wait to play this game.
Yeah, I think it's a strong choice. I'll go next. I went with Deathloop. The reason I went with Deathloop is because the trailers started really promising, and the more I saw the trailers, the more I did not want to play the game, and I was worried about how the game would be. And when you actually play that game, everything works. It's just a game that once you start, it's like, do you know what? This is a lot of fun. B, it's a great premise that they do really well, and the voice acting and the gameplay is so good, and the way they keep you hooked was really, really good. So it wasn't like a huge surprise, like a oh my god moment. It was a pleasant surprise of they said they were going to make this game. This is what they promised, and they delivered it. And and in a year where we'd been tarnished a few times by things, like it was just a good surprise. I was very happy.
Tarnished, you say?
What do you say?
Elden Ring.
Well,
look,
like point fingers.
The world may be in a state of horrible pandemic right now, but Elden Ring. But this isn't Elden Ring. This is Deathloop. No. Yeah,
right.
I don't. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Just matter. Like if ever you're feeling bad about anything, Elden Ring.
Listen, I don't want to be
around
a
the corner.
downer, but Elden Ring could still turn out to be bad. So let's not put everything on Elden Ring.
Oh my god! Can you imagine?
It
could be the next Cyberpunk. It could be the next Cyberpunk.
Can you imagine? It comes out and it's a stick man just walking around. Yeah. With George R.R. Martin saying "to be continued."
Hey.
Like when I write it.
Yeah.
People still play it. There'll still be speed runs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I'm sure that game's going to be exactly what people want it to be. And I'm looking forward to it. But Deathloop, I think it was just because the trailers became a parody, like not just for us, for everybody, and the game still turned out and is up for Game of the Year from at the Game Awards. It's won countless awards. It got great reviews. And it was just an all-round surprise, like medal for the PlayStation, like universe to say, look, this was from Arcane Studios, and they absolutely knocked it out of the park. So that's why it was my surprise of the year. Because I'm a jaded pessimist. I thought nice things are going to get. See,
for me, I didn't. It didn't really surprise me. I mean, obviously, it was. When the reviews come out and stuff, I was like, wow, I didn't expect it to be quite that, that good. But every step of the way, although you say like it became a meme of itself, like, you know, the seeing the same thing over and over again. Every time, even then, I remember we were watching the trailers, like, I know we've seen so many trailers of this, but I said, this still looks so freaking good. Like the gameplay looks so good, looks fun. It was always the original IP. We were always like, this is the most exciting new thing we're seeing. So it never really like was a big like surprise that, oh my God, this is actually good. Like, we always knew it's going to be good. I just didn't realize it was going to be as good as it's been received.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's next? We have Terry. You picked Bug Snacks.
Yeah.
As your surprise of the year.
This one genuinely was a surprise for me because this genuinely was a meme. Like when it was announced in the PS5 reveal, it was like the only thing that anyone remembered about it is that we didn't know what the fuck the game was, and it had a really catchy theme tune, you know, and everyone was singing the theme tune, and that was the thing. And I think it became a bit of a joke, like, oh yeah, I can't wait to just like try this out and see what this little kind of throwaway game is. And that's exactly what I thought it was going to be. I thought it's going to be, I don't know what this is really. I honestly had no idea what kind of game it was. Graphically, didn't look anything like, especially like to play on a PS5, didn't look anything like impressive, but I thought I'd try it out. And I was genuinely surprised just how good of a game this game is and how involved it is. I mean, I played this all through with Harry and we platinumed it. We like got so into this game and I really enjoyed my time with it. And it was a lot more, I mean, I didn't expect it to be 1 inch in depth, like, you know, and deep on a psychological level, but it actually was, and it was actually really surprising and went to some dark places, but the actual gameplay was really fun. Like it was actually like really different to anything I've done before. Like I said before, it's like a mixture of like Pokemon Snap and I guess Pokemon, but I mean, it's like you know, you're not battling these things; you're literally just trying to find them and then try to capture them. Like, but it's a really effective puzzle game because it's like, you know, no two creatures are like alike in how you capture them. Sometimes you have to really figure it out in ways to in different conjunctions to use your traps and how to do it and the characters were memorable in it. Like the voice acting was good in it. It was just a genuine surprise. It was like, I didn't expect anything from this in this game. And I really enjoyed my time with it. And no shit, when they announced the update, the free update coming at the beginning of the year, I was like, super hyped for it. I was like, oh my God, I want more Bug Snacks. So yeah, so this for me was definitely the biggest surprise.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people said the same, didn't they? About how much they really enjoyed the game.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You haven't played this yet, have you, Vince, or have you?
I have not.
I really like.
I want to.
You should. But... You got to give it a try.
But yeah, no, it's one of those games that it is on my list.
Yeah.
Like that I'll try. And
I mean, it was free. And it was free with PlayStation Plus at the time, so that's you know, it was like a no-brainer just to try it.
Missed out on that.
Yeah, PlayStation Plus is still a thing.
It's still a thing. And I still have it. But
is anyone moving on their option? We have Bug Snacks, we have Halo Infinite Multiplayer, and Deathloop. I am going to move on my nomination here. And I think that I will go to, I think for its importance, Halo Infinite Multiplayer. That it actually is the one part of this game they have delivered on.
Right.
If we're just, I'm guessing if we're just looking at Halo Infinite Multiplayer, because half of the other features aren't just even coming yet. Campaign, we don't know what the hell that is. But as multiplayer being its own thing and releasing and being in a good workable state when we see Battlefield struggling. Yeah, I think for me, that and as I said earlier, it's a surprise that it's a surprise, which makes it a double surprise.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't. For me, I don't really feel like it's a surprise more than it is a relief. Like, because you know, before we had that, which I still don't even think it was that bad reveal. Everyone like says it's like that. The original Halo Infinite reveal, which I was really impressed with at the time. I know there were some moments that weren't great. If you'd asked like back then, or you know, before that trailer was released, like, oh, do you expect this multiplayer to be good? Hell yeah, because I mean, we were all like kind of banking, saying like, it needs to be good. It can't not be good. It has to be. So I was fully expecting it to be good, but then we had the whole development issues and stuff. So it was like, okay, now I'm not sure, like what's it going to be like? So now I feel less a surprise, more of a relief. Like, okay, no, they did follow it through. They did do it. So.
I think it is a mixture of relief and surprise.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think Bugsnax is also a really good choice for this. A really good choice. And I think it's a very justifiable choice. I think just because of the bad year we've had and how the bad year Halo has had, I think it's a surprise that they actually had some saving grace. Where they were at the beginning of the year to where they are at the end of the year.
The surprise how they dropped it, I'll give them it just for that.
Yeah, they dropped the ball and then just dropped the game at the end as well. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, dropping it early, just like to be confident enough to say, like, no, look, we were actually going to put it out there now. Like, so that's good. That's cool.
And having it be as polished as it is so far, like, the XP stuff is kind of not great.
I don't know if you listen to. Do you guys listen to IGN Unfiltered? With,
sometimes, I haven't listened to the one on
it's really good. The most recent episode is with the guy, I forgot his name now, but that is with 343. He was with Bungie.
Yeah.
And he went to 343 and he goes into a bit of detail, like, when they brought him on and the things that he had to fix. So really interesting, really cool.
No, I'll definitely give that a listen. Okay, so that award goes to Halo Infinite Multiplayer for Surprise of the Year, which in itself is a surprise. But we looked back at some of the disappointments, obviously, in between our second awards while they get the stage set up again for the next award. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look forward and what we are looking forward to. Obviously, we spoke about this on the last podcast a little bit, but I think this is a chance for us to have a little bit more of a look at some of those games. And also, the second caveat to that is if you think they'll deliver.
Right.
So, because obviously it's hit and miss in the gaming world.
Apparently,
Cyberpunk being the prime example, like Terry brought up. And Halo's whatever is not the multiplayer. So we have a few of those options. Terry. What is it that you're really looking forward to in the next gaming year that you'll probably play 2 years down the line because you've got such a long back catalogue? But if you could play, what is the game that you are willing to drop games to play so you want to play it?
I might think, I'll probably come up with something else. But the first thing that comes to my mind is Final Fantasy 16. If it comes out next year, I'm still a bit dubious if it will actually make that. But mainly because of Yoshi P like being the main director and coming off of how well he's done with 14 and seeing what he can do with a single player game, and I just feel like he's got a lot of trust behind him, like that he can make something really special and make those games that the single player games where they should be, I'm really excited about that. So that is a game that when that comes out day and day, I'm getting that. I'm playing it through regardless of whatever else I was playing before. So that's the first one that comes to mind for me.
Okay. No. And do you think it will deliver?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, from what we've seen so far, it looks very different. It looks more mature than the other games than we've had in terms of I don't know, it just seems very like Game of Thronesy, which is not surprising, considering just coming off the back of Heaven's Ward, that had those kind of feelings to it. Lots of the houses and betrayal and that kind of stuff. There's blood in the trailer, which you don't typically get with Final Fantasy games. And it just looks cool. It looks cool. And I think that it will deliver. But we've still got to see another trailer in that. But I have high hopes for that game.
No, it's a good one. My first one will be God of War, Ragnarok. Just because it's more God of War, and that is not all you need to say on that one. I think it will launch next year. I don't think it'll move again.
No,
and I think it's the game I'm least worried about with all the big games that are coming or ones that are even just starting development. purely because it's a big chunk of the team that did the last God of War. Obviously, different director, but that's how God of War does it. They alternate their directors, rotate them out. So I'm excited for that. Yeah. So that's my first one.
Seconded on that one.
Vince,
sure.
Well, is it Elden Ring?
I mean, it's Elden Ring, right? It's Elden Ring for sure. Like it's just my cup of tea, right? It's more Soulsborne. It's what it is.
Is that an Earl's Grey or is it a breakfast tea? Just so we're clear.
It's got to be Yorkshire.
What?
Is it an Earl's Grey? Is it a breakfast
That's
tea?
an
Is it
Earl
like
Grey.
a Yorkshire tea?
Come on.
PG Tips, Typhoon tea?
Earl Grey for life. Let's be honest. Earl Grey's so good. But yeah, I mean, question is whether they're going to deliver or not. Absolutely. I think
they will.
They've got
I think
it.
that's going to be their. I think that's going to be his
I
piece
mean,
de resistance.
If that game does not
sure.
deliver, there'll be riots in the streets.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Absolutely. Regardless of whether George R. R. Martin finished anything on it, you can't go wrong with Miyazaki picking up the slack of just building out the world lore and stuff like that. Like, sure, George R. R. Martin probably helped, but let's be real. Miyazaki's the one who probably put the
all
polish
George
on
R. R. Martin
all
would
that.
have done in this. Like he'd have looked at the storyboard and gone, "Okay, this is all great. Can we add some incest there? And can we have a dragon over here?
Chuck a dick in over here."
Yeah.
I think that I think he's just going to be more of an advisory role anyway, like more of a just like
for
a
sure.
building
I
the lore.
advise more dick,
Yeah,
more dragon, and if we can, dragon dick.
dragon dick. Just chuck a dragon dick over here.
How about we take this character, make her severely underage?
Yeah.
Let's add some rape in there with her too. That's fine. Yeah.
That's what he brings to the table.
100%. Yeah.
No, this is the safe choice for you, isn't it? Really? Because
of course.
And I think it's the right choice, isn't it? Because it's very unlikely this game is gonna disappoint. But everyone said that about Cyberpunk. It will be my caveat to that. And this game is being held on a very high pedestal. It is almost impossible to maintain. Very few games have this much hype and deliver at that level of hype.
Yeah.
So there is an element of caution there that this game might just be an 8 out of 10 and not the 10 out of 10 that everyone's expecting. And
that would be enough for me, honestly.
And I think that's what people need to just realize, that not every game could be a 10 out of 10.
Granted, FromSoft hasn't had a miss in a long time. Give or take what people say about Dark Souls 2, but I think each of them are like at least,
I'm sure it'll be fine.
8 out of 10 for sure.
I want this game. Quick sidebar before I go into something else I'm looking forward to. Do you think it will win most anticipated game for the second year in a row?
Absolutely. Like, I don't think there's.
It's fan voted that one, isn't it? So it is, which is ridiculous.
And Souls fans go too hard sometimes, to the point where I'm just like, I'm a Souls fan, but not like some Souls fans are. They're a bit
some
toxic.
arseholes.
I'll say it. Yeah,
shocking.
They're pretty toxic out there
in the gaming community.
Yeah.
Right.
A couple more before you go on to the next thing. Obviously, Horizon Forbidden West, and personally for me, Gran Turismo 7. I'm really hyped for that game. So hope it delivers.
Both of those games should deliver and should be great games. My other one is Sifu.
For sure.
That game, not only I nearly put it as surprise of the year purely because that they brought their release date forward.
Yeah.
When everyone has put theirs back, they've come forward clearly to try and avoid the traffic.
Yeah.
But because I think their release date was the same as I think Horizon. And
it was one of the big ones. Yeah. Where it was like, let's get out of the way of that.
So it's like, we'll move forward.
Good idea on that,
That game looks so good.
They
did obviously a little deep dive the other day when they announced that they're bringing it forward about how the aging works. It's so good. Basically, as you age, you get your ability points. So in order to get better, you have to die. But then when you die properly, you lose them all, but you remember all the passcodes and everything. It keeps all that for you. So you have a memory still. It looks like they've done it in a really fun way. I'm super excited for that game.
Sure.
And obviously GTA 6 when it shadow drops.
Yeah, right. We're still 5 years away from that game.
Sure. Yeah. Anything else, Vince? Or is it just Elden Rings and that's all you can think about because you're in blinkers?
Elden Ring for sure. But like, I don't know, God of War, Horizon, all that.
Anything on the Xbox side of things?
Gears.
Or Gears. We don't know that. We don't know
there's another Gears if it's
yet.
coming. No. But hey, if it does, that'd be great. Other than that, Fable. Again, we don't know when that's coming.
Starfield. Is it Starfield?
I guess. Yeah, Starfield.
I'm interested to see what that is.
Thing, like Bethesda RPGs. Yeah, Skyrim hits. Yeah, Oblivion hits for me. But I don't know. I'm interested to see how they're gonna do Starfield, just because the best sci-fi RPG is Mass Effect. So it's gonna be a tough one to beat. I'm
gonna throw our first major prediction out of like so far for next year. That game's not coming out next year.
It's not. It's Bethesda. No. It's
I again going back to IGN Unfiltered. Listened to one with Todd Howard the other day, and Ryan asked him, "Is Todd Howard right?"
Yeah, Todd Howard. Yeah.
Thought I got his name wrong there. And he asked him basically like about the date kind of thing, and he was very like. He's like, look, that's what we're kind of aiming for. Like the way he was dancing around it, basically just like it wasn't committing. Yeah. Like I was like, there's no way that game's coming out next year. No. Not a chance in hell.
I think it'll get delayed, but not into a new year.
No,
granted, because it's when is it? Is it October?
It's
have they actually given a date?
November.
Yeah, they gave a date in the trailer.
Yeah, that's not coming out next year.
It's an anniversary of something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the Skyrim anniversary, so it's like 11/11/22.
Yeah.
So,
so,
that was it, because they brought that out because he just really likes those numbers, so he likes to put them 11. But yeah, I don't think
it's a good prediction. It could be.
It is, but granted, it is Bethesda, so it's going to release with or without bugs.
yeah.
Whatever state
they will release it in any state.
Yeah.
Like it just won't work.
Fallout 76. Let's
Fallout
never forget.
Insert number here.
Well, let's hope they've learned from that. Maybe they don't want it. Maybe
they've learned that people still buy the games. That's what they've learned.
Oh, you wanted a duffel bag? Here's
a
trash bag for your collector's edition. Congratulations.
Let's move on to our next award before we take an interval.
Let's do that.
We're going to do one more award before the interval. I think we'll go for one of the big ones. I think we'll go for Console of the Year. I think this is
going to change my nomination.
You can if you want. I'm just about to read out. If you want to change it, you can change it.
100% changing it.
Oh, okay. Wow. Are you going to the same as us, or are you
moving
going to
the pieces at the last second?
No. I'm gonna go for the Series X, because why not?
Okay, so two nominations for this are the PlayStation 5 and the Microsoft Series X.
The
Microsoft Series X.
No, sorry, Xbox Series X. I don't know why I said Microsoft.
It's like
I was going to say the
Sony
Microsoft Xbox Series X. There's a lot of letters and numbers in these, all right?
Sony 5.
Yeah, the Sony 5. So, yeah.
The Nintendo.
Yeah, I'll go first on this one. PlayStation 5 hasn't missed many beats in terms of games. And I think it isn't the best system. It's a bit in the sense of the UI is a bit of a mess, and obviously Games Pass is such a big seller for the Xbox, and I have the Series S, and I do enjoy Games Pass quite a lot, and I think I'm going to enjoy it more as in the years to come. But I think at the moment there's a clear difference in the quality of games. The Xbox is still kind of catching up to the games that PlayStation have released. And even on the PlayStation 5 in the first year, we've talked about, obviously, Ratchet and Clank. You've had your Miles Morales come over this way, your Demon Souls, and a lot of other games as well that we'll still talk about. And I think it's just had a better year. And the issue I've always had with Games Pass, it's not really an issue. There is a lot of filler and sometimes no thriller. Like there's good games on there, obviously, but there's a lot of filler that nobody touches. Like it's sometimes too much of a good thing. And I think in a year's time, because they've promised all of these day one Xbox Games Pass releases, the environment's going to look very different, but we're still getting to that point because Xbox hasn't really had many exclusives this year that in comparison, obviously there are exceptions to that. Forza being one of them for me. Fantastic game. Nearly put it as my game of the year. And obviously Halo Infinite and stuff like that being on there as well. But yeah, the PlayStation 5, just purely for the games that you can play at the moment, it was my choice for console of the year. I'm going to go to Terry because he also picked the PlayStation 5, and it makes more sense for us to do the PlayStation argument together and discussion, and then throw it over to you for Xbox.
Yeah, I was saying, I think if we would have asked this question probably about 3 or 4 months ago, I wouldn't have had to think about it. I would have said like PS5, but I had to really actually sit and think about it for a moment, because I think if we were to ask this maybe in like a month's time or 2 months' time, I'd have to think about it even more so, because obviously you're going to have like Halo, Infinite Multiplayer releasing, and the fact that is free, like, and the things like that. And I think, if we're looking at purely just like the system and the actual ecosystem and what it provides, then I would go with Xbox purely just through Game Pass and what it's offering. Like you talk about Flight Simulator, Halo, like literally all these big games that are like all free on Game Pass, which is absolutely crazy. But I just think that, and I think that it could have been any console could have been on having its best year, whatever they're offering. But still, to go up with what PS5's done this year. And again, like you say, I agree with you. The system itself, it can be clunky. There's things that don't work, and they don't have anything that's like Game Pass to offer. But I'm basing this purely on the titles that I've released, and it's just been insane. I mean, it's got to be up there with one of the best console launcher years like ever. I mean, really, it's just just some of the stuff we've been talking about today: Ratchet and Clank, Demon Souls, like Astrobot, like what else have we had? Like I can't even think.
Miles Morales.
Miles Morales. Yeah, I mean, there's just been tons, and then like you look at immediately, like the beginning of next year, like it just keeps going, and it goes on.
God of Wars.
It doesn't stop. It just and if they just keep up this pace of like just releasing these amount of quality games each year, I mean, could go on to be like an all-time great console. But yeah, I just think that it's just had such a good year for exclusives. Like it's literally carried on what they were doing with the PS4 and just honed down on it even more. So yeah, it's a tough one, but I do feel like it's going to be possibly a different landscape by the end of next year. Like when you've got all of these, because Microsoft, other than they've seemed to have left until the very end of the year, like we've had Forza Horizon and then Halo Infinite, which is fantastic. Like, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come going forward. But since before that, we didn't really have anything like stand out. I know we had Flight Simulator and stuff like that, but there's not really been anything like of any substance. So who knows? Once they do have these things in substance and they're free to play on Game Pass, then that can change the conversation a bit.
I think, just before we move over to you, Vince, like just to go off the back of what Terry's saying, we've said quite often on this podcast that Xbox has the foundation with all of their everything's there that they need. They have the characters, they have the games behind them that they have used throughout the history of Xbox. They have Games Pass, but until they can bring those big characters to the level of polish that the PlayStation can do, they're going to struggle. And they're playing at the moment for the last console, they've been playing catch up, and they're getting closer. And this Games Pass, and as we're seeing what's coming in the future, but you need your Halos to hit, and so far it is. You need to get your Fables not just be 2-3 years away; they need to be coming out. Like there's not been a Fable game for so long, because, and then you also need to pull in all of these characters that they have. Obviously, the Indiana Jones game coming which is a game that's coming and people will be excited about. Because for each of them, obviously, PlayStation has an Uncharted game, a Last of Us game, and that's from one studio, and then your God of Wars and your Horizons. We know all these.
Insomniac
anyway.
just
Insomniac with Logan, which is it doesn't matter what you release on Xbox.
Yeah.
That is the game that I'm so looking forward to. And I think that is the Xbox One. See, what was it called? Was it just Xbox One? It was, yeah. Xbox One is the downfall. Xbox One is the reason that Microsoft isn't winning this award, because they let themselves get too far behind. But in maybe a year, 2 years, this could be a totally different landscape, like Terry said. But right now, PlayStation have done what they've set out to do, and they have enough credit in the bank about what's coming that it's just hard to look anywhere else for that. But console-wise, it's a great console, the Xbox, and Games Pass is ridiculous. Anyway, Vince, over to you for why you picked Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about, though, right? The console itself. That's the category. Granted, PlayStation has its games, but PlayStation aren't making the moves that Xbox is right now. Games Pass is, yes, a great deal. Providing that on PC as well is a good move. Providing not just Game Pass as is, but constant updates for backwards compatible games. We saw at the 20th anniversary launch that they were giving FPS boosts to a bunch of different games, including all the Gears games, right? And I even went after
Gears
the
will
update.
Be brought in here at some point,
of course. I went in just to check out, what the FPS boost would look like, and it's incredible, right? You're all of a sudden getting a game that runs that used to run at 30 FPS, now running at 60, and it's so smooth. And that's just a great idea to just not just bring older games forward with backwards compatibility, but bringing them somewhat up to par with newer releases, right? You're getting, the same old experience, but you're making it much better for, you're optimizing it. You're bringing it forward. Yeah. Same with the auto HDR capabilities for, older titles. You're taking older games that run on either the 360 or the original Xbox, and you're making them look the best they possibly can. And that's kind of the power of what the Series X can do. Not to mention, Game Pass in a nutshell, but moving away from that, it's all the things that the system can do itself. Quick Resume is a fantastic feature.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
Again, works some of the time, depending on the game. Say something like Dark Souls, where it requires an online connection. If you're online, obviously Quick Resume's not going to work for that. But if you're someone like me, who's sometimes bouncing between some games, on my Quick Resume bar was the original Resident Evil. It was, Gears Tactics, because I was bouncing between that and a couple other things. And those have been on that bar for months. And I can still click on that game, bring it right back up, and continue where I left off.
Yeah, that's
without quitting and leaving the game itself. The only other problem is nothing really. The system itself is so easy to use. And I think some people see it as a downside of bringing the Xbox One UI, the latest version, to the Series X. But I think it works in their favor. And they have made constant updates to it as well. You can fully customize the UI. You can change the home screen.
I find it a bit overwhelming, but yeah.
I mean, it can be, yeah.
There's a lot going on that UI. It is quite messy, but it does work.
Oh, it works pretty well. The PlayStation's, on the other hand, it's so hard to find trophies. Popping from your in-game memory, it seems buried almost. and I can't for the life of me find it on just the normal home screen. Like, especially when I was tracking the Ratchet and Clank trophies. Like, oh boy, that was the whole situation. But granted, yeah, those are things that they can improve upon. I do like that the PlayStation 5 can offer help sometimes, although some of the
if
help's
it's an
not
exclusive game,
great, yeah. At times, it's hit or miss depending. But usually I'm just looking up a guide anyway. Me too, because I was just looking at a guide for Ratchet and Clank to find like some of the collectibles on the internet. Not even
realizing you could just
using like
bring up the card. Yeah,
you can. Yeah, I forget that's a feature, and I probably could use it pretty well. Either way, yeah. I mean, Xbox is just.
It's okay.
I still got the platinum. That's true. My second ever platinum behind Spider-Man. I guess third because I loaded up Spider-Man Remastered and got the platinum just by loading my save. Granted, two different games, but yeah, still. It's a cheap platinum. Hey, platinum nonetheless. Talk to Greg Miller about that. Anyway, yeah, I think Xbox does have the setup to rival PlayStation maybe a couple of years down the line. But I think the moves that they are currently making and the fact that they have committed to, you only need one Xbox because you can bring your old games forward with you is such a good idea and speaks so much to what Xbox is about. Like, this is the place to play, kind of, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they're looking, it's not like Nintendo where, oh, you don't own an SNES? Good luck playing this random game you want to play. Or like, even we saw it with the Switch, with the N64, I guess, I forget what the word is, emulator. Yeah. And where some of the games just do not look as good. Like, it's just kind of shit the bed. But then you go into Xbox and you do have some games that have that FPS boost, have the auto HDR, and they're just kind of doing that right. They're preserving their history going forward as well. I think that's just a good move on them. Granted, PlayStation's still kind of doing the same thing with some PS4 games and then remastering a lot of games that probably don't need remastered. Last of Us. But
not confirmed yet.
I thought it was confirmed. Anyway, did we? Yeah. I thought we were.
Anyway, so this is why you're picking Microsoft. Just we've got a lot more to go through, yeah.
I just wanted to add to that quickly. I think that they need to be commended for what they are doing for game preservation and how they're doing it, and just how it kind of makes a mockery of PlayStation, and like considering it just makes me sad because it's like the ironic thing is like, and I watched Microsoft's 20th anniversary thing, which is really cool. I loved how they do it and how they was like referencing all the old stuff. But the ironic thing is exciting. That there is like, when you look at Microsoft's 20-year history, there really isn't that many franchises. You know what I mean? There's not that much stuff. Consider if you looked at like when PlayStation was celebrating their 20 years, there was just so many different all the franchises we play today started on those consoles. And that just makes me feel like, what the hell? Why PlayStation? What are you doing? Like, look what you could be doing. Yeah. Like all of these games that are like Metal Gear Solid 4, for instance, you can't play that game unless you get it on the PS3. Like, it's just why are you fucking hell? Like, you've got such a history of games that you should be bring them forward. Just why are you not doing this? And I know a lot of it comes down to the tech. Very angry. I just don't understand it. I'm just seeing Microsoft has shown that it can be done, but they've done it every console. They've made sure that you could go back, and I guess it's with the way that PlayStation kept changing their architecture and it makes it a bit messy. But yeah, it's just a shame. It's just a shame because you see how it can be done, and it's that should be standard, because I think game preservation is a big thing going forward.
Yeah. The reason I'm not changing my vote is you were right with something that you said, that this is about the best console, and so we shouldn't just look at the games. And I do agree. but then in the same argument is you shouldn't just look at Games Pass. The biggest selling
that's
point
why I didn't hit Games Pass.
No, but I would say that for 90% of the people, the biggest selling point for the Xbox is Games Pass because it is the best deal in game. Everyone says it.
I think the game. I think if you're rating a console, you're rating the games. That's what you're.
Yeah, and I agree. But following Vince's idea of that you don't rate the games, which I do disagree with that. I think the games are important to what's the best console. What I will also say is the Xbox Series S is a better console than the Xbox Series X, in my opinion, purely because it is such a good gateway into gaming. It's not price capped. It's available, which is a key thing at the moment. People can buy them. And yes, there's technical limitations, but there's no game limitations. I can play every game and in a really good state and really enjoy it. And I think it is a much more accessible console because there's a big price difference. Like, it's not nothing to be quite. It's like $100. Yeah, £100, but £100 is a lot of money. Like, because it's not £100 in total, is it? Because it's like £499. It's half a grand. For a console, or much more palatable, £250. That's a quarter of a grand. It's a much nicer number, and I'd say to Terry, I would say that if you're getting to the point where you really have to scratch that itch, don't not look at the Series S because I have it, and I think it was the best decision I made to go down that route. Because I can play all the games, and if a game comes out on multiple consoles, I know I've got the PlayStation there that I can play it at full power if I want to. But but in the big scheme of things, I can't shift my vote on this one. I think PlayStation is the better console. So PlayStation does win console of the year, with a very strong honorable mention to Games Pass and to Xbox and what they're doing over there. So that's that. We're going to take a little interval. By interval, we're going to let Vince rant for a little bit. I would like to say that it is 17 minutes past 12. You have 15 minutes as an interval, just like you would in an award show, to fit everything in for everybody. So
that's good.
Okay.
So Vince, are you just talking about what you've been watching?
Yeah.
Okay, so Vince, what have you been watching and why do you want to rant about it?
What have I been watching? So last night, I finished Netflix's Cowboy Bebop. The live action.
Can't wait to hear about this.
Oh, you can't wait to hear about this and how absolutely disappointing it is. So, granted, I watched the anime first because that's who I am as a person. Talked about that all before, like caught a few episodes. Recently is the first time I watched the full thing in set, or in, I guess, recent memory. Watched the whole thing as is. And then Netflix did their live action adaptation, which I've now watched all 10 episodes of. And it's rough, man. It's like just taking out of the aspect of, what a lot of people harp on it for being just a live action adaptation of an anime. Therefore, automatically it's bad. It's bad on such a core level I've talked about budget before last time I spoke about it. Obviously not completely there, especially if you want to do such a sci-fi epic as what Cowboy Bebop is. But from a narrative perspective as well. Because what the majority of the Cowboy Bebop anime is, it is most of the time villain of the week, right? Like you have a set villain per an episode, and that villain's dealt with onto the next thing. What the live action fucks up is that it tries to stitch that villain of the week aspect into a full 10 episode narrative. So you have your villain of the week, but it's also kind of weave together narratively to kind of make sense for a big bad at the end, right? Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't hate it as much if it wasn't trying to be a 1-for-1 for the anime, right? Because what a lot of it loses in this live action adaptation is the tragedy of it all. With each episode of the anime of Cowboy Bebop, a lot of the villains are very tragic villains. A lot of, what Cowboy Bebop is about is way darker than what you get from the live action series. Like, every character has very defined flaws and is very tragic in both their past, how they go about certain things. And that also applies to the villains, therefore making a lot of the villains really good. You kind of get attached, even though the anime episodes are 30 minutes long. Compare that to the live action where you have roughly an hour per episode. And so they are kind of stretching out a lot of the narrative, but they're replacing some of it with kind of their own thing, right? Like, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but when the writing is as bad as it is, it's real bad. Like, it's the worst part of the show is how they've taken these really complex, really good characters and then writing them in such a way that it's a bit over-explained a lot of the times. And they really fucked up one specific character, for sure. And it's not the character that everyone else is mad about. The character I'm referring to is Julia, the obviously semi-spoilers for the anime, but the love interest of Spike Spiegel. Again, she only physically shows up in like the final 2 episodes of the anime, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because there's a narrative reason for it. But the live action keeps her around for all 10 episodes, changes her character almost completely, and then drops a hell of a bombshell in the final episode, hopefully setting up for a season 2, which we'll see if they get, because people's reaction to this show has not been good, and I completely understand.
I'd be surprised if they get that, from what I've seen.
Yeah, but man, they really fucked up a lot of the characters, specifically on the villain end. But honestly, your core cast, your big 3 that are kind of the big 3 throughout the anime, Spike Spiegel, Jet Black, and Faye Valentine, perfectly cast. Like, John Cho is phenomenal as Spike Spiegel. I'll be honest, he has that swagger to him that I don't know if I could see any other live action actor play Spike Spiegel after seeing John Cho, because he's nailed it. He has that presence about him that makes you think, hey, he is 100% nailing this character. Same for Daniela Pineda, who plays Faye Valentine. Her interpretation of the character, very, very good. Like, I enjoyed her throughout the series. Even going to Mustafa Shakir, who plays Jet Black, who is the one change in the show that I actually thought, like, hey, this is kind of interesting, because in the anime, Jet Black is a white character. Mustafa, not a white man. I'll say that. Like, but he does really good with material he's given. A lot of these actors are really carrying a lot of the dialogue, because it's bad at times. It's very bad at times. I mean, there's the one clip that was going around the internet that was just so bad. I don't even want to repeat
I think
it
I know
here.
the one. I think I know the one you're going to
The
say.
blackmail clip.
Yeah. That is
It's not
one
good.
of the worst lines I've ever seen in anything ever.
Ooh, it's not good. But again, they are doing the best they can with what they are given, and I appreciate them for it because I had such a good time watching them interact with each other. It's just, man, it's just a shame that this is what we got when we probably could have gotten someone who really understands what Cowboy Bebop is and kind of wants to tell somewhat their own story, because while this obviously isn't a 1-for-1, adaptation, there are moments where it feels like it wants to be, and in those moments it very much fails. Yeah, if they could have just slapped the Cowboy Bebop name on it, try to do something different than what the anime was, it probably would be a good companion piece to the anime, right? And I feel like I've seen someone on Twitter mention that this is more of a companion piece to the anime, but it's kind of not, because it's somewhat hitting the same story beats and taking villains from the anime and making them way, way worse. Just so worse. I don't understand how they made so many plot points that much worse. Like, the thing I keep going back to is the first episode of the anime compared to the first episode of the live action series, because it's almost 1-for-1. But it's just the live action version is just lacking so much from the first episode. It's lacking characterization, moments that are supposed to be really big and really heartbreaking and dark, and it just kind of fucks it up somehow. I get how you can do that, because a lot of people have fucked up a lot of things narratively regarding a bunch of other stuff.
So you're saying stick with the anime, because I haven't seen either. So I'll watch the anime. I do want to watch.
Watch the anime. Watch that first episode, and you'll be hooked, because I was. That ends on such a dark place, I'll say, but it sets up the tone for the entire show. It's just how that goes. It's almost perfect. I don't want to say perfect. There's some episodes in there that are just okay, this is definitely an anime I'm watching right now, because this is that cliche episode that we get. Yeah. There's the goofy episode, which they make a reference to in the live action, and I'm just very disappointed we didn't get a particular character called Cowboy Andy, who's great, because again, it's just a one-off episode. This character is introduced, and it's a good time. But they kept half of the episode because they kept the villain from that episode, but made him again worse. And then later on in the live action, they just have the name Cowboy Andy written on a leaderboard for bounty hunters. And I'm just like, oh, cool. That's a nod. Wish we could have actually got that character, because he would have fit right in with the tone of the live action. Anyway, yeah. Video games, right? Cool. That's what we're doing.
Video games.
Terry, yeah.
Vince has used 13 minutes of your time.
Right.
So, so you got 12 minutes of your time. So you have 3 minutes left to discuss what you want to talk about.
Yeah. Firstly, I watched something good. We went with the kids to see Encanto at the cinema.
Oh, is that really good?
It's really good. It's really good, guys. Yeah. So there's a new Disney film, and it's if you like Moana, and if you like Pixar's Coco, you're going to like this film, because it very much has the vibes of those films. Even more so, I'd say, obviously, Moana for the music, but I'd say more particularly Coco for the kind of like the feeling of it. And it's like very bright, very colorful. It's beautiful looking film. It's music's great in it. It's all like set in Colombia. So it's got like, just really cool, like music going on throughout it, and really clever, like, and something really original that I felt like has not been done before. But yeah, really enjoyed it. I went into it I didn't know what to expect really. Obviously, I knew it was going to be going into a Disney film and it was going to be good, but I didn't know much about the story going into it, and I was quite pleasantly surprised of how it turned out. So yeah, do recommend that if you do like Disney films. So just quickly wanted to talk about something new I've been playing. So in the Black Friday sales on the PlayStation Store, because I got a little cheeky voucher for my birthday, I grabbed a little game called Tetris Effect Connected.
Oh, interesting. Hey, it's a really good game.
Yeah, have you played it, Vince?
Yeah, because it's on
of all the games
Game Pass,
you need to still play. That's what you go with.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you played any of Tetris Effect, Adam?
Yes.
Well, what do you guys think of it?
Well, I suck at it, so I find it frustrating, but it is a very good game.
Yeah,
beautiful game.
Absolutely stunning. I mean, obviously the original came out in 2018, and then Connected, I think, came out last year. I can't remember, but I read all the reviews, and obviously, like when it came out, and it was like multiple Game of the Year nominations, and so I knew it was meant to be good. I knew it was hyped up, but even then, I still thought, how much better can a Tetris game actually be? And I'm not particularly good at Tetris. I mean, I do like very much enjoy Tetris. Most I ever played was from the original one, like the Game Boy. I played other variations, a bit like Tetris Blast in the Game Boy Pocket. Good game. And I played like the version they had on like the PS3. I think it was like Tetris Ultimate or something like that. But I've never really like played it much. But I was really taken aback by this game, and just how, like, even right now how late it is, and when we're finishing up, kind of got like, I feel like maybe I could sneak one little bit in, just one little bit in before. That's what it's like. I am just floored with, like, because like, when you play it, and obviously I got the new headphones, and that was partly the reason why I got this game as well, because I thought, got the new PS5 Pulse headphones, I want to put these like to the test, and like I thought, what's a game that's really going to make these like sing? And this game with like, I mean, don't even play this game without headphones on. I took them off for a second. I was like, this is like playing something else. When you start the game, it says it's required you play with surround sound or wearing headphones. My God, the sound in this game. Like when you play the journey mode, which is all I'd played so far, I'm about halfway through the journey mode. And it is an experience. It is a sensory experience. When I've got like the music up full volume, like the bass is pumping, like the lights. I'm good thing I'm not epileptic. Like the lights are just strobing, like so I'm playing with the lights off, and it's just like, my God, I'm just like drawn in. Like, and the only thing I can really compare it to for me personally is like when you're doing like zone mode on Wipeout, and you're just like the same kind of like brightness and colors, and you're just like there, you're in a different place, you're not thinking about it, you're just like, and as I say, I'm not particularly like the best player at Tetris, but there's a moment where you just kind of just get locked in, and you're just no longer thinking about it, you're just doing it. And I love the way that it transitions from stage to stage, and it changes up the way that the blocks look, the materials look, and the colors, and how it goes from like 1 minute it's like calm underwater, there's like jellyfish and stuff like that, and then it goes to the next stage and it's like flames, and the music kicks in and it's speeding up, and you're like, fuck, it's just so much. I just love it, everything about it. As I've only been playing the journey mode so far. I haven't been doing any of the connected stuff like where you play online, but I'm just so impressed with this game. And it's the first of it's Mizuguchi, Mizuguchi, and I've never. This is the funny thing. Never played Rez, which is weirdly just the game that passed me by back on the PS2 days, and I've never played any of like the remakes since, and which is so weird because I love any games like this, like with these kind of sensory, like rhythmic kind of games. And I also picked up Res Infinite because that was on sale also. So I will be playing through that after I play through Tetris Effect. So, but no, I'm honestly really enjoying this game. Like when I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about it, and I just want to get back on it. It's a really hard game to put down. Really hard game to put down. Especially like when you fucking lose and you only had one more line to clear, and it's just like, come on, all right, let's give this another go. Let's just give this one more go, and then you do it. And you're like, yes, come on. But no, really enjoying it. The next bit I'm going to say for next week, because I want to talk about this more in depth, but I have started Stormblood, Final Fantasy 14 Stormblood, the next expansion, and all I say right now is I'm very impressed. But yeah, I'll be able to speak to that in more depth because I'm going to get my hands on that a lot this week. So,
okay.
No.
Well, I have nothing of importance to talk about this week, so I will. We will move on to the next award of the evening. Welcome back from that long infomercial. We are back at the Shifties, the first annual Shifties, going straight into our next award. The final 3 awards, and they're all pretty big awards. We're going to go for Performance of the Year. This is a big award here. There's some strong nominations. We have James McAvoy from 12 Minutes. We have Laura Bailey as Kane from Nier Replicant.
It's Kaine, actually.
Well, that's just annoying. Well, she's not winning now. That's an annoying spelling. And we have Jason E. Kelly as Colt Vaughn from Deathloop. Who's to go first on this one? Vince.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk to us why you chose the amazing Laura Bailey for this?
Because it's Laura Bailey. You know what you're getting out of Laura Bailey. You're getting a fantastic performance, especially with the character of Kaine from Nier Replicant. It's just, she brings that level of, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Gravitas?
Yes. She brings that level of gravitas to such a complex character. And it's a Nier game, so there's so many layers to each character as is. And she's generally your go-to for complex characters that have a lot of weight to them. And come on, it's Laura Bailey. What more do you need to say? She does amazing work as is.
Yeah, you're right.
Adding her into the mix for Nier Replicant. Even I think just Nier, I think she was just in that. But yeah, she does fantastic work, and her work in Nier as Kaine is no exception.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's a very solid choice from the bits that I've seen. But even though I haven't seen a lot of the game, I know with Laura Bailey, you're getting a level of when we talked about last week about who is the actor that is still the surefire, and we said Leonardo DiCaprio was one of the ones up there. Laura Bailey is the voice, one of those voice artists that you can put in the same category as your Troy Bakers, your Nolan Norths, as the Mount Rushmore of obviously Jennifer Hale as well, being up there as well, as in the Mount Rushmore of voice actors. Obviously there's others as well. We could be here for hours talking about everyone, but I think it's a strong choice. Terry, are you familiar much with Laura Bailey's work?
I'm not, no, and I haven't seen any of her.
You haven't played Last of Us Part 2, have you?
No, exactly. And
Okay.
I haven't seen really much of Nier Replicant, so I don't have anything to.
And you haven't played Gears 5?
No, I haven't played Gears 5. And I'll be honest,
Vanguard.
No, any of these. And I don't really feel like I had a kind of holster back in this race either, because I was trying to think of like any performances of the games that I played that released in 12 months, and there wasn't really anything that I could think of. So I was just trying to think, like, I was just looking at like what had been released and what I had seen and what footage I've seen most of, and that's why I went for James McAvoy in 12 Minutes, because from what I'd seen, and obviously you're going to know more than me on this, Adam. Did you play 12 Minutes?
Yeah, I played it through.
Yeah, and did you? I don't know if Vince played it through or not, but
no, I haven't downloaded, but I have not played it.
But yeah, so I just like saw, what it seemed like he was doing in that. I thought was pretty cool, but yeah, I'm not like, I'm probably just going to go with one of your choices on this because I don't really have much of a say on this one. So,
okay, I went with Jason E. Kelly as Colt from Deathloop, and I think this is one that I feel quite strongly about because when I look at performance, it's not just about how well they play the character, because he does a great job. Like you've seen it in the trailers. What you see in the trailers is how he is in the game. This cool, always slightly angry, like who says "motherfucker" enough. Like it just becomes part of the language, and it's just the way. This is when I looked at who the best voice actors, and Laura Bailey is, like I said, Mount Rushmore, like top tier. But I think you could put another actress into that role and the game would still be as good because it is such a well-written, well-crafted game. I think she adds to it, but he is one of the main reasons why Deathloop is so good.
Vince is...
Okay, maybe not. In my opinion.
Yeah.
What I think is undoubtedly true, and as a lot of people have said, that one of the best parts of Deathloop is his performance, and he has to carry so much because you're thinking of the loop. It can't be repetitive. The conversations, he's your sole voice, like that you hear continuously, like, and the way that never becomes boring. He never misses a beat. It's just a phenomenal performance, and more importantly, it's a breakout performance. You know, this person has now put themselves into that next class of voice actors where they're going to get a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I think Laura Bailey's got enough awards, like, and all deserve. Let's give one to someone else. I also, my prediction is he'll win it in the at the Game Awards.
I'm gonna. Probably. You've talked me into it. I'm gonna go with you on this one, and I'm just purely because I just from the 10 million trailers that we watched, I really enjoyed like his voice work in it and like what he was doing. And it reminded me a lot of I always forget the guy's name that does the Supermassive stuff. Like he did like Bastion and
right.
Yeah, like
great voice actor.
Yeah, like so it's similar kind of vibe. And I love like what he's doing with that. So
there's so many games you could fit this guy into, and I think and to play that suave character would work so well, and that voice, the voice, and he does such a good job. But Laura Bailey is like top level of voice actors. But yeah, so I think it's a very good choice, Vince. But if it wasn't for this being a breakout performance, I think I would have switched probably if it was anyone else. But okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about in between our awards is what has been your best moment of Shifty Crab for the year. A moment that stands out because like this is our first year as well. This is the first Shifties. We're coming up. We are a month away from our 1 year anniversary.
That's great.
It's been a year. We're still going. Like beards have grown. You know, cameras have zoomed in. Like we've done a lot this year. Cameras have grown.
So many times.
I thought it'd be cool to go around and just maybe talk about some of the moments that have stuck out this year. I'll go to you, Terry, first for this one.
The things that always, the things that stick to the front of my mind is like, I love it with like, it's the episodes, and there's been a few of them where we've just gone off the rails, and it's just, and it's gone all over the place, and it's normally the ones where we end up talking about food, and
always,
I particularly like the ones where we put together the like meals. the meals and stuff like that, the fast food ones. They have been some of my favorite moments. Yeah. I also really enjoyed when we did the Emily is Away.
That's a lot of fun.
That was
a lot of fun. Yeah.
Soon we'll be able to play a lot more games.
Yeah.
Something arrives in the next 8 days.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm excited. Vince, anything sticking out to you? It's like I paid it all.
I mean, Terry kind of nailed it, right? Like, just chaos. It's everything from like ups and downs, Emily is away, all that. Taking a singular joke of it being, the Shifty cut, combining all 3 episodes we did into one massive thing, and it actually being a thing was just great.
Still my favorite bit of content I've ever made. That intro.
Yeah. Come on, you can't go wrong with that, right?
It was a lot of fun. I think. Yeah, I think you guys nailed it. I've also enjoyed our casting ones where we've casted films. They because they usually turn into Idris Elba jokes continuously
all the time. Yeah.
The technical difficulties always make me laugh.
Yeah,
like it has just become such a staple of the show and it's usually what are you two? Technically wise, it's very, very rare. It's on my
I don't even want to jinx it right now and even speak about because it's not done it in a while, and I don't want to.
Vince is taking the punishment at the moment.
Somehow
my punishment comes off air, when my computer tries to cope with everything. But the on air, we're usually all right. Doing our first reacts and stuff like that as well, and even
I do the reacts and that to the showcases and
even E3, even though it was a disappointment to be able to.
Anything Nintendo.
Yeah. No. Our first reacts being Nintendo and it being absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
How bad that show was.
Not a good time.
I think the ups and the downs were this year, all of our lives have changed in different ways. And to always have that constant of Shifty Crab, nice. On a Tuesday and a Thursday or a Wednesday or a Friday or a Monday or when we did Sundays,
wherever it's going to
be. And how it's evolved. It's always been it's been cool. So here's to many more years.
To many more
Shifties. less technical difficulties as the year goes on. Well, probably not. Probably still going to be a plethora of them.
Right.
On to our second to last award, the penultimate award of the evening. It is Best Studio. Now, this one, I think, is going to be a hot topic. In no particular order, we have Insomniac, we have Capcom, and we have Blue Point. I'll go first on this one, I guess. I went with Insomniac. I think they've had a stellar year. We've talked about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Also, I'm kind of counting the year as in like November last year as well. So you've got Miles Morales in there as well. The remaster coming in at the beginning of the PlayStation 5. Listen, if Terry can pick games that came out 18 months ago, I'm gonna throw stretch my year a little bit. But yeah, I think it's not only the games that they brought out, which we know how good those games are. It is the rise of Insomniac, which has been there to the point that at the PlayStation event, they showed 2 games. And they're probably I can't remember half of the stuff that was at that show, but I can remember our reaction to Logan.
Yeah.
And that moment of going, holy shit. And that Marvel trust Insomniac so much to go, do you know what? Yeah, okay. Go do your thing. I think they've gone from being a top middle tier studio, which they used to be a higher, and I think they dropped a little bit. They had a bit of a dip and have worked their way back up to now they're in the top echelon with on the PlayStation side, your Santa Monica's and your Naughty Dogs specifically, but across all platforms, they would be up there. And I think they are the jewel in the crown at the moment for PlayStation. So that's for me, that's why I've picked Insomniac games. Anyone agree?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
It's hard to it's hard to really argue against it, really, isn't it? I mean, it's the only reason I didn't choose them is because I hadn't played either of their games of the last year. But if I'm stepping back and looking at literally everything that was released, then yeah, it's kind of crazy what they did in a short amount of time already. Like you say, with the Spider-Man remastered edition, then Miles Morales, and now Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And then not only that, but then announced like showing trailers like for Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine. What the fuck? It's just crazy. Yeah, I really do feel that they are the jewel in the crown of PlayStation right now. Just in the terms of the amount of content that they're putting out, but the quality of it. And I disagree. I think they've always been there. I think they had maybe like one little blip with like Fuse or whatever that thing was that they made. Like, so what the hell was this? Other than that, I
don't think they dropped. I just think other studios went up and became more mainstream. The camera's gone.
Oh, it's gone.
Oh, it's actually gone.
Nope. Zoom's having a fit.
It is not a great picture to have frozen on either.
Great.
Anyway, carry on, Terry.
It's hard to argue against them being the best this year. Certainly, they have really gone over and above what's expected from them.
We'll talk about yours, Terry, because I'm guessing, Vince, are you busy trying to sort out your camera?
Oh, it's not happening. It's gone.
Oh, it's gone.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, from what I've played personally, and as go back to what we were saying about the technical achievement stuff with Demon Souls. I just think that Blue Point just knocked it out of the park with what they did. I just think that they, as a studio, what they do, only they do. And they do it the best, and I think they are the which is really kind of sad, and like the fact that they announced that they maybe people are looking into it too much, that they maybe won't be doing a remaster going forward, or they, I don't know, I mean, it's like, it's a shame because you think like, oh my God, they do it so well, like, and I don't want them to be something just kind of assume that it's just made to do that and they can't go and do their own things, but I don't know. It's hard to say, really.
I am looking forward to seeing what they can do.
Yeah, exactly. It's exciting. Like, so I was saying, like, you look at what they did with Demon Souls and you think, like, oh, like if only these other games that look like that. Well, they can do that. They can make those games. So, but yeah, I just feel like from what I've played, I just felt like they really did something that was stand out for the launch of the new consoles, and and that was it really. But again, saying that, if I'm to match up what they've done, to rate them alongside Insomniac, and just seeing what Insomniac have done and what they've released and what they've announced, then I've got to go with Insomniac in this one.
Yeah. Vince, are you still there?
I'm still here, yes.
Okay, so you're just going audio only for now.
Yep. That's what's happening.
Do you have anything to add to either Blue Point or to Insomniac before we move on to Capcom?
I mean, Blue Point obviously does good work. PlayStation buying them is great, obviously. Like, give them more money to do the things they want to do instead of just having them doing remasters, which is not a bad thing because they absolutely nail that for sure. I mean, what more is there to say about Blue Point? They do great stuff. Insomniac is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, honestly, because, come on. They do what they do, and they do it well. They make great games. I've already talked to death about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Fantastic game. I still need to play Miles Morales. Their take on Spider-Man, fantastic. And they're obviously just going to keep getting better and better with Logan on the horizon, Spider-Man 2 being the obvious, reveal that we got, and then following that up seconds later with Logan and just blowing everyone's mind. Come on. Insomniac know what they're doing, and they're going to keep being great. Hopefully. They haven't had a miss in a long time, and I hope they continue to not miss. That could have been phrased better, but,
No, I get what you mean.
That's what it is. Yeah.
You picked Capcom.
I picked Capcom because
Street Fighter 5.
Not because of Street Fighter 5, because Resident Evil Village, solely based on that. Like, what other company has, came back around on a franchise that we thought ended Like they brought Resident Evil back up from the mud. They made Monster Hunter, which had its biggest release of Monster Hunter World, and they followed up with Rise, and people absolutely jumped on board with that. I mean, I was just looking at more games they've done this year, and everything's just, come on.
Capcom have been absolutely killing it like the last 5 years. Like they were a company that literally were down and out at the beginning of the 2010s. They were just like, you know, they were just sleeping on dead franchises. They were nowhere to be seen. Since I want to say since Resident Evil 7, they just kind of like came back from the dead. In fact, the only disappointment has been
no pun intended, I assume.
Yeah, there wasn't actually a pun intended. Street Fighter 5, I think probably is the only kind of slight disappointment there, because 4 was so good. And then I know like there was a big uproar when 5 came out and the fans were all against it, and which just wasn't as good and blah, blah, blah. So it's a shame. There's a little blemish on what they've like been doing, but yeah, particularly with Resident Evil, what they've been doing, and like you say, Monster Hunter. It's pretty
Monster Hunter pretty much didn't have a foothold in the West until they did World and then now Rise, and now it's synonymous with like one of the great stories of games coming overseas and finding major popularity. Like Capcom kind of took a franchise that no one really heard of, made it big, and then obviously a shitty movie was made out of it. But I mean, I haven't seen it, but I assume it's not good.
No.
Yeah. Which they have a history with their franchises being made into movies and not being very good.
Yes, they do.
Granted, I still really want to see the new Resident Evil movie.
I still want to see it.
But I do too. You know.
So I suppose the question to you, Vince, is because obviously I think it's a very good choice, Capcom. I think you're right. They've had I don't think obviously the last Resident Evil wasn't as well received as some of their remakes that they've just done and stuff like that, and it was still well received though.
I don't know. They put the franchise in a very good place. Absolutely want to see it continue.
No, yeah, exactly. Do you think Capcom over the last year has been more impressive than Insomniac, or like, do you think there's a strong argument against it? Or...
I mean, if we're bringing like Miles Morales into it, maybe not. But if we're solely looking at like 2021, they both only really Capcom.
You got to go like the way I see it, like you got to go like from like mid-November onwards, and you can't count anything. You can't count anything this year from mid-November onwards, because it's like you're looking at the last like 12 months, aren't you?
Well, then you're also looking at Resident Evil Village and Monster Hunter Rise and the Great Ace Attorney and like all those games that were very well received. And it's really hard to say, because as much as I love Ratchet and Clank, I was definitely more immersed in Resident Evil Village. But that being said, they are two very hard to
boys.
Like. It's apples and oranges for sure.
Yeah.
Again, Ratchet and Clank is very technical showcase, whereas Resident Evil Village is very much in for the story and how absolutely terrifying
you like big
a large part of that
ladies.
game.
No problem.
Hey, who doesn't, right?
We all like a big vampire lady.
Well, we do.
Okay, so you're sticking with Capcom.
I'm sticking with Capcom.
Yeah,
like
Terry,
it's hard not to deny it.
I'm going to go with Insomniac. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Insomniac win,
but Capcom, good shout.
Very good shout for Capcom. We're going to have one last little break before we come on to the final category, which, as you can expect, is Game of the Year. Our final little teaser in between. Obviously, we've just wrapped up a year of gaming. We're looking forward. I'd like us all to make one safe prediction for the next year of gaming and one Hail Mary prediction.
I already made mine.
Well, yeah, that could be a safe one. That's fine. Like, and then one Hail Mary as one that, but there has to be some realm of reasoning on why you think it'll happen. So I'm not going to turn around and say GTA 6 will be released, because there's no proof of that happening.
Don't do that.
There's no proof that game's still in development.
Well, yeah, yeah, exactly. We'll do the safe ones first. We'll do our safe. We'll do a round of safe to give people time to think on different ones. Let's see. Terry, you've already done yours, I guess. So if you want to reiterate yours, that'll be the
So Starfield. I always go to say Star Citizen.
I always forget the name of this game.
Starfield will definitely not be releasing next year. As much as I want to see it, I am looking forward to seeing some trailers and seeing what the actual game looks like, but it won't release next year. So that's my safe one.
Yeah, my safe one will be that we see a new game from Naughty Dog that is a new IP.
Oh, that'd be nice.
That'd be good.
New IP. I do think we'll see something about Uncharted, but they will be doing a new IP first.
So you think we'll see a new Uncharted game as well?
I know. I think there'll just be confirmation that one is coming.
Right.
Whether that's through Hurst doing an interview or Druckmann or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that the actual game that they tease will be a new IP. Vince?
Safe prediction?
Yeah, your safe prediction first before we go for your Hail Mary.
Safe prediction. There will be a new Call of Duty game.
Fuck off.
That's so safe.
No way.
I don't know. Like, man, if I would hope again we get something out of more Microsoft or Gear 6, but
I think you'll see
at this
Gear
point
6
I'm not
announced.
sure. I think we'll see it. I don't think it'll be released in 2021 or 2022. Maybe a 2023 game from what I've heard, they've just kind of started working with Unreal Engine 5, right? They're on 5 now?
Yeah.
With Unreal Engines? Yeah. I mean, they had that technical showcase, but
Which
again,
is incredible.
Yeah, it looks great. But still, that if they're still toying around with what they can do with it, it's probably still very much in early development.
Okay. We'll go to Terry for your Hail Mary, your big balls to the wall.
I don't really have one.
I can go first if you want, because I have one.
come back to me. So I got a thing on this.
My Hail Mary does involve Rockstar, as always.
Bully remake.
No, I wish.
I thought for sure. Yeah,
I wish.
That's a Hail Mary, right?
It is a Hail Mary. Like I think we will see a new, similar vein, a new IP from Rockstar Games.
No way. We won't even see. We're not even seeing the new installment from their biggest IP.
Yeah, that's why I think they'll do a new one.
Too busy working on a new one to make the next iteration in their existing IP.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Which makes sense. Yeah, I could see that actually working out.
I think that's what I think they've maybe boxed themselves into a corner that they don't know how to make GTA 6 better than GTA 5, and we're nowhere near a new Red Dead Redemption. But they have to release something, or at least announce something.
What game?
Actually, I know they're doing a new Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah,
they did an interview last week. Actually, I was reading it. I can't remember who did it, and they said that there's certain franchises, a bit like Bond, where they're around to stay.
That. Yeah,
and he said like Red Dead Redemption, there's more of a story to tell. GTA, and I can't remember the other one that he said. There was another one, but that they are games that will continue to be created and developed. So yeah, we know we're going to get one, but it'll be another 5 years before we see something for that. It'll probably come out before GTA 6. But I think because of what they said when they did the interview about Take-Two, how many games that they had to release in the next 5 years, and Rockstar were heavily mentioned in that, they've got to have something that they're working on.
Yeah.
And if it's not going to be GTA 6 and it's not going to be Red Dead Redemption and it's not a remake, what could it be? They're not going to make a Bully 2 because that wouldn't work.
No.
The Bully can only be a remake, really. And then I doubt they're going to make a second LA Noire. And they can't make Manhunt anymore, really. What else are they going to... Unless it's table tennis.
Bring back table tennis.
The Warriors.
Smuggler's Run.
Yeah, the Warriors. Smuggler's Run.
Anyway, that's just my pick. Terry, we'll go back to you for your Hail Mary.
My Hail Mary, what the hell? We get Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2.
Released.
There you go. That's a good one.
No, not in a million years. But I don't know.
My
Hail Mary at this point would just be to get a full-on trailer for it.
Oh, you'll definitely get that. Like that's almost a surefire for
Maybe.
next year.
Is it?
I feel like they
don't
got to
know.
do 16 before they do 7 Part 2, right?
Oh yeah. We're
You know
not
how
going to
Final
get.
Fantasy works at these.
We're not going
They'll
to
show
get
Final
part
Fantasy
2.
16. I am even going to up your prediction that Final Fantasy 7 Part 2 will be shown at the Game Awards.
No way.
I would lose my shit. You know,
I guess that's why it's a Hail Mary, but yeah.
I think they'll show it at the Game Awards.
Mm.
I'd
rather
not a proper trailer, but a little bit.
Yeah, I would. See, I can't see it because I would feel like either of those for 16 or 7 Part 2. I thought they'll show it at PlayStation because they're both PlayStation exclusives, aren't they?
Yeah, but
So
PlayStation will want to show up at the Game Awards a little bit as well.
Do they normally show stuff there, like
showing bits and bobs?
Okay, maybe.
Yeah,
who knows?
Bits and
who
bobs.
knows? Bits and bobs.
Listen, I'm just throwing an extra Hail Mary in. So the next week, when's the Game Awards? Like what? 2 weeks?
It's the 9th. It's the day after Halo Infinite releases.
The 9th. So when we do the show after that, and I can sit here, I can put on my sunglasses, get the belt down, I can sit here and have another prediction in the bag. So anyway,
which if you're watching, and if there is a Gears 6 teaser there, expect a reaction video from me.
Well, yeah. I will happily log on for that.
Absolutely.
Vince, what is your Hail Mary?
Hail Mary. I've actually been sitting here thinking about it because if the Coalition are toying with Unreal Engine 5 and they want to test out the waters with it a little bit, I would like to see a Gears 2 Ultimate Edition, a remaster of Gears 2, maybe 3. They'll probably just stick with 2. I think
I'm very heavy on the Gears for his predictions.
Of course. I'm reading the new book. Obviously, I'm all about Gears right now. But yeah, I think the same thing like what they did with before the release of Gears 4, they did Gears Ultimate Edition beforehand, just to kind of, again, for I think the anniversary of Gears 1. So it would make sense to probably continue that. I mean, they did the same thing with Halo and Halo 2, right? They did an anniversary of 1 and an anniversary of 2 before 5 came out. So, I would hope they would work on a remaster of that because like months ago, before they launched a new season for Gears 5, they released a teaser image, which a lot of people were speculating looked similar to the box art for Gears 2. And there was a lot of hype around that. Obviously, it didn't turn out to be a remaster for Gears 2. But I think they probably took note of that and might be working on something similar. And what better to get your feet wet with Unreal Engine 5 than doing an Unreal Engine 5 remake of Gears 2?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Movie prediction, I mentioned it on the podcast last week. Mass Effect is shown in some way at the Game Awards because that's where the initial trailer was shown. So
yeah. Just give me another CG trailer. I'll be happy.
I'll be happy just to know something about when, like where it's set, as in when in the timeline.
It's absolutely post Mass Effect 3, right?
Yeah, it's got to be.
That's the guarantee, but hopefully we'll get something else.
But then, sure, that's going to be very different games for whatever option you chose at the end of it. Like,
it could be.
Well, anyway, that's a different conversation, and we're at the awards shows. Like, we can talk about that next week.
What's our game of the year?
Theories about that. Yeah. Let's go on to our final award of the evening. It's the big one. It is the granddaddy of them all. It is the Gottia, the game of the year, or the Gotti, as some people call it. The game of the year.
Big Gotti.
Game of the year.
In no particular order, we have Astro's Playroom, we have Nier Replicant, and we have Hitman 3. Now these.
So here's the thing. Let's pull back the curtain. I'm looking at our Slack here, and to say these are in no particular order is not true because I'm looking at the list.
They're in reverse order from.
They're in reverse order. Yeah.
Okay.
And before they were in actual order from top down.
So anyway, I've mixed it up each time I've done it. I'm just saying. So yes, they're in an order for us, but to you guys listening in no particular order. And our caveat to this is obviously it is the best game that we played this year. We're not, so this had to be a game that we had played, and if there's honorable mentions, we can talk about them just after we've done our awards. We're going to go to Vince first on this one.
Yep.
Near Replicant. You've talked about this a lot on podcasts and so on. So it was an obvious pick for you, but tell us why this should be the game of the year.
Near as a franchise in general is one of those that quickly became one of my favorite franchises of all time. Replicant is obviously no exception to that. Granted, yes, it's a remaster of the original Nier game that came out several years ago. And they obviously improved upon it in not necessarily a similar vein to RE2 remake. But they've, polished up combat, things like that. For me, it's all about what Nier Replicant brings as a game. Because again, as I've said before, it's a video game. It's a story that can only kind of be told as a video game rather than any other form of medium. And to say, I guess to take an analogy you previously held, Adam, Yoko Taro absolutely deserves to be within that kind of developer director Mount Rushmore, right? Mm-hmm. Because he knows how to tell a story through the mediums of video games. And Nier Replicant is absolutely a great showcase of that because you have multiple endings, but each playthrough to get that multiple ending scenario is different and expands upon the story as is. And I think that's the power of Nier Replicant. And obviously I've voted for Laura Bailey as Kaine from Nier Replicant because her performance is great. That doesn't also take away from the other actors within the game who are bringing probably some of their, I won't say some of their best performances, but really great performances that make Nier a very standout game from what would look like repetitiveness in the beginning that actually builds upon the world as you go through it narratively and how it all kinds of plays out. Like, I could talk forever about Nier Replicant, even Nier Automata, but through the games that I played this year, my favorite game was Bloodborne. But in terms of games released this year, it's Nier Replicant because there's just something about Nier as a game and as a narrative that just very much stands out amongst the crowd, at least for me, granted.
Okay, yeah. No, listen, the amount you spoke about this game over the year, it's obvious that this game had a big impact on you. And I remember early on in the year, you said it was probably one of the best games you've played ever. Never mind this year, it was one of your favorite games. So it's no surprise to us that this is on the list, and it obviously deserves to be there. Terry, you've gone for an interesting choice here. You've gone for Astrobot's Playroom.
Yes, Astro's Playroom, which by no means I don't believe is the best game released this year, but it's most certainly the best game that I've played over the last 12 months. And I was almost close to putting this actually as my surprise, but Bugsex, I guess, surprised me just a little bit more. But I wasn't expecting anything much from this game. Obviously, coming packed in with the PS5, I just thought it was going to be a fun kind of a thorough experience. Didn't know how long it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be more of a tech demo. So I was really kind of blown away just how much I enjoyed playing through this. And it's a solid platformer, and I like platforming games, and it's presented very well. But what I wasn't expecting was just how much it was going to tap into that nostalgia in me, which, as you guys know, is what I love. And I felt like with what they did with that game, celebrated the brand of PlayStation more than PlayStation have ever done themselves. And I think Asobi, Team Asobi, what they did was just incredible. How they managed to just go into the darkest like recess of PlayStation's history throughout their 25-year lifespan and tap into references to just like games like that were just so niche and so things like, oh my god, like, I can't believe they're actually going there. And again, someone like that's a retro collector myself, and that has like really fond memories going back like through the PlayStation consoles, seeing all of those consoles there and collecting them and then looking at them in full detail and all the little puns that they do. You guys are like a pun. All the puns they do on each of the names and the trophies that you unlock. It's just so self-referential, and I just loved it. And I did not expect that game to like get me to the emotion that I got at the very end of that game. And you know the bit what I'm talking about. I'm like the bit after you kind of like after you complete everything, like, and how that made the hairs on my neck stand on end, because it's like the memories it brought back from being like 10 years old or however I was, and it was just like, wow, this was just like a whole experience. I did not, and not just that, just playing it through like with the kids. Like, I played that. That's one of the probably actually the first game that I've actually sat and played through with them, and they've enjoyed it as much as me. Like, it's still to this day, like George, whenever he picks up the controller, he's just still go straight to Astrobot. He loves it. And finally, with what he did with the DualSense, I still feel it's the gold standard. I mean, that's pretty much what the game was made for. It is a tech demo to show what that controller can do, and it's still that game that if someone comes around the house and they haven't seen the PS5 before, that's the thing I fire up. I fire it up and I put that controller in their hand and I watch their smile like come up like, wow. So yeah, I loved it. I just love my time with it.
No, yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic choice. You've still not played it yet, have you, Vince?
No, I have not.
Okay. But yeah, great choice. So many memorable moments in that game. So many memorable moments. I've chose Hitman 3 from the new trilogy. I will say that my actual favorite game I've played this year will be Days Gone. I really enjoyed that game, but obviously that game's a few years old, but that game just hit me this year and I had a really great time playing it. But Hitman 3 was a fantastic experience. And if you like the Hitman games, it's probably the best it's been. And the levels were great. It made you feel like a badass. It made you feel like James Bond at times. And then obviously IOI now getting a James Bond game makes so much sense from some of the things that you do in this one. Like, it's one of those games. There's very few games, because I'm a good gamer, but I'm not great at a lot of games, that you can actually go in and feel like a badass. You can go in and just do it right, and you just walk out of there silent assassin and no one's seen you, and you feel like, yeah, I'm the shit for that brief moment until the next level where you fuck up straight away, you murder someone and they've seen you. But those moments are really, really good. What I will say on this, and I believe I'm the only one to play Hitman 3. Yeah. Yeah. So what I will say though is, Terry, with Astro's Playroom, you're absolutely right. I don't think I had more fun playing a game in the last year than playing Astro's Playroom, and the emotions, and you talking about it then just brought it all of it back, just playing that game and just seeing the little bots, like recreating all of the scenes, like, I'm trying to remember what those scenes are and seeing them hiding in the cardboard box, a snake and stuff like that, and seeing them as Kratos and stuff like this, and seeing you build in the museum. And yeah, the end, which obviously we won't spoil for Vince, who'll never play the game. Like that ending is so good. And you're right, it brought me so much joy. So for that reason, I will change my vote to Astro's Playbot.
Wow, I was not expecting that.
Astro's Playroom, sorry. Because you're right, I don't think I had as much fun as I did playing that game. And I think it's the best tech demo for a console there's ever been. Like,
oh yeah.
And Vince, I urge you just to play it. It's not even a long game. Like, it's just so much fun to play.
And I guarantee you, Vince, when you start playing, you will get a platinum because you'll try and collect everything because it's just like the way it's built.
Yeah, it's so much fun. But Vince, are you changing your vote to Astro's Playroom?
No.
Okay, so then Game of the Year goes to Astro's Playroom. Wow, that's a surprise.
Yeah,
but
honestly, when I put that in there, I just thought, well, I'm just gonna. This isn't gonna win anything, but I'm just gonna put it in because it was my personal favorite. But
when you wrote it, and I saw your list come through, and obviously I put my list in first. And there's a few. So when you put them in first, you're worried you're going to forget something, and Halo Infinite was one that I hadn't really thought about, and I think that was a deserved winner. But then when you put Astro's Playroom in, I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake, yeah, that game just is so good. So yeah, we've this has been the Shifties, our first annual Shifties, guys.
Whew.
Yeah, we saw Vince for half of it. So
I was here.
Yeah, he's still here in spirit.
He's here in spirit. Join us next year for the second annual Shifties.
That'll be an interesting one. That'll be an interesting one. If all these releases actually happen,
we might have to do a 6-month one just so I can remember everything that comes out. But
so far,
who knows? Maybe Terry will have played a game from the current year when he votes.
Maybe,
and maybe Vince will vote for something that isn't Gears of War Gears next year.
Only time will tell.
Only time will tell. Will Elden Ring be in the conversation for Game of the Year by the end of the year? Only time will tell.
Yes.
Will I play anything else other than Final Fantasy 14?
Probably not. Oh no, maybe Final Fantasy 16. If it
or remake part 2 if we get the Hail Mary.
Might dip his toe into one of them.
Yeah.
But what we can promise is that we will be here to discuss all these games next year. Anyway, this has been the Shifty Crab podcast, a very special one. Join us for the Shifty Crab news break with the one and only Mr. Terry Jeffs. Let's see if there's any news to talk about at the end of the year. It's a barren landscape. Until the Game Awards has happened, it's
pretty much.
But if there's much news, we can easily talk about food.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do podcast part 2 if it needs to happen. And also joining us is the best beard in the business that you can sometimes see. It is Mr. Vince Haley. Thank you for joining us, Vince.
Yeah. Red pill or I don't know. I was going to make a Matrix reference because apparently I look like Keanu Reeves. I got nothing.
You look like John Wick Keanu Reeves.
Right.
Beard, slick back hair, and a black suit.
Yeah.
So,
Matrix is topical right now, right?
How long is that? It's not long. A week?
Yeah.
Not long.
Kind of Funny's in review went live today. The Matrix. I started watching it earlier.
I need to watch.
Maybe I'll watch The Matrix.
Who's on the cast for that?
It's Nick, Paris, Tim, and Kevin.
I mean, that's a good. It was
good. It's a good little comeback.
Anyone in a costume?
No costumes. No costumes.
This is where we miss Greg.
But just hearing them talk about it, okay, I need to go.
Are you going to watch the trilogy before? Yeah, I want to watch them just before, so it's.
Yeah, I'm going to see it just after Christmas. That week.
Yeah.
After, yeah.
Anyone got Spider-Man tickets yet?
No, please.
Is that no, please, because you don't want them, or no, please, because it's impossible to get them?
Impossible to get. Yeah. There was an attempt made, and no.
Give it a few days.
No. I'll tell you what, watching things before you see the thing, Ghostbusters 1 and 2, then Ghostbusters Afterlife, good pairing. Yep.
Yeah, Ghostbusters Afterlife.
We completely forgot about it. We're going to have to speak about that in more detail next episode, Vince, because I want to hear all your thoughts on that.
And I will be watching that next week.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'd be good if you'd seen it as well, Adam.
Yeah.
I'll try, but it's only out at cinemas at the moment. So
yeah.
I don't know if you realize I'm a little bit busy at the moment.
Just creep off.
Yeah. I'm showcase would love that. I'm just going to London for you have to watch it now.
Watch Ghostbusters,
yeah. Right. Anyway, this has been the Shifty Crab podcast. Stay shifty.
Yeah.
Bye.